Well, hello and welcome to the All Red Everything podcast. Here in the studio with me today, I have Anika Thoren, Business Development Executive, Yokohama Tyres. Anika, thank you for making the time to come and chat with me today. I really appreciate it.
The pleasure's all mine.
Seriously, stoked to have you here because I know that you are a true enthusiast through and through in this automotive world that we have found ourselves working in, all the way to the fact that you're a rotary owner. So I know that there's something wrong with you there. I mean, that's a very special disease, that one.
It definitely is. Yes.
And you've had more than one, so you didn't learn your lesson the first time as well.
Yep, certainly didn't.
That's my great concern with you. I'm like, you definitely, that proves that you're a car person through and through.
Yep.
Because when you do that twice, like you clearly either just love causing yourself great pain, or you're just mad for it.
Sucker for punishment, I think.
Maybe a bit of both.
Yeah.
And you've obviously built a career in around this as well, because working with Yokohama, as you have done now for, what is it, six years?
6 years. It'll be 7 in April.
Far out, nearly 7 years.
Yeah, yep.
Mate, out of control. And you're heavily embedded in the car world, the car community, certainly here in South East Queensland as well, but then more broadly as you've become involved commercially in all these things.
Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of steps to get to where I am, and it has been an interesting journey, that's for sure.
I'll bet it's been an interesting journey because before we pushed live on this thing, I was asking you about where you're from and all those, and just sort of trying to make sure I remembered these things correctly. And you're not a Brisbaneite.
I'm not.
You're not. You're from the land of the Bundy Bear.
The Bundy Rum Bear, that's it.
Mate,
Don't hold it against me.
That's the number one thing to come out of Bundaberg.
It is, sugar as
mate,
well.
That sugarcane champagne put Bundaberg on the map.
Yep.
For most of us. You get a pretty good steak around there too, as the other one. But yeah. So born in Bundy?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Mate, no love. No love for the old stomping ground. Not even nostalgia?
It's really a retirement village, to be honest. There's not a lot of opportunities there. So, it is nice to go retire. It's nice to maybe raise a family. But for me, I wanted more. So, the steps that I took, brought me to Brisbane. And honestly, I haven't looked back. It's been amazing.
So you weren't looking at working the farms, that never really appealed to you, getting out on the properties, big machinery?
Yeah, not the sugarcane fields. No,
No,
my mum grew up on a sugarcane farm.
Did she really?
Yeah.
That was the family business, or?
I'm not entirely sure. I think it may have been to start with, and then her parents bought a health food shop. But I think she was one of 4 or 5 brothers, so she was the only girl.
Right.
But yeah.
Growing up on a sugarcane farm.
Yeah, and then the cars also came into that as well, so.
Mate, I'll bet they did. Yeah. She'd be tough as nails. Eh?
Yeah, she is. Don't mess with my mother.
I bloody bet. Yeah. Sugarcane farm in Bundy, mate, she'd be able to throw down.
Yep, she probably could. I know she can hit.
Yeah, she would have some wild stories.
Yeah.
I would have to imagine. And are your folks still up there, or did they?
No, so my mum is in Brisbane now, but she's about to go back overseas, so she tends to pack up and just go overseas for a year or two. She got stuck over there with COVID, and my dad is down in Victoria, so he's remarried and we've got a half brother as well. So he still works as well. So mum's retired, but dad still works, so he does the big power lines and stuff like that. Yeah,
far out.
and he's a welder, boilermaker by trade.
Boilermaker. Oh, see, that's handy.
Yeah,
you pick up a few things there.
Oh, I should. I'm a bit scared of the big sparks.
The big sparks. That bit is actually stopping being scared of the big sparks is probably the hardest bit that I've found as I've tried to figure that out. Because when you go, it goes up in front of you, you're like, oh god. Anyway, so Bundy doesn't draw you back. You don't sort of go back there for nostalgia. It's
go back for the food, just like your little things that you grew up with as a child. There's different food nostalgia. So I want to take Danny back up there and go, look, this is where we went.
So what's the hotspot? What's the pro tip for the people going through Bundy? Where do you stop? What's Nika's tip here?
Chicks pies.
Chicks pies? Yeah? And what do you get? What do you order?
I get a chicken sausage roll.
Chicken sausage roll.
Nice. It is the bomb. And you used to, after a big night out, go to the place called the Hungry Tom, which is a backpackers hostel. and you get chips, cheese, and gravy, and it is the best fucking thing that
Yeah,
you'll
mate.
ever have.
Chips, cheese, and gravy.
Yeah.
Have you got onto Beefy's pies? Have you come across those?
No.
Mate, do yourself a favour. Next time you go on the sunny coast, they've got them.
Yeah, I've
Some of the
seen them.
servos there.
Yeah.
Pull in there. They do like the add-ons, so the pies, but then you can add peas, chips, gravy, the whole shebang.
Oh, wow.
Mate, yeah. Pro tip.
Okay.
Bit closer than Bundy. I'm still in on the chicken sausage roll though, because you can judge a bakery by its sausage roll.
Yeah.
That's the if you can do that well.
You can get them frozen and bring them home, and then yeah. So next time I go, I'll get some frozen ones for you and I'll drop
mate,
them in.
bring them home and air fry some sausage rolls.
You might have to fight my sister and my mum though, so I might have to bring a few.
Yeah, send them separately.
Yep.
Like, no,
This is for you. This is for you.
not for you guys. There you go. See the cuisine of Bundaberg.
Yes, there's not a lot.
Well, it gives me somewhere else to stop when I go through because it's always the rum factory.
Yeah.
Because you drop in there, you can say good day to hug the bottle and
Do the sampling tour and stumble out. Yeah.
all the important things and smell the molasses. Anyway, sorry, Bundaberg. So you went Bundy's not for you, and you went the Big Smoke. Why Brisbane? Because there's plenty of places you could have gone. What drew you here?
I nearly did go to Melbourne, but my sister actually moved to Brisbane for university. So I was like, well, if I find an opportunity in Brisbane, I can be close to her. So at the time, I was working as a marketing assistant at a not-for-profit organisation, which I really enjoyed. It was a very fulfilling role, but I was very passionate about cars, and I was like, I feel like I need to be in this somehow, and I just needed to find that first footstep in the door. So,
Because is there much of a car scene in Bundy? What is there?
A little bit. There's a place called Hoon's End. That's another place you can go visit.
I just spilt on myself. This is why I wear black t-shirts. Just
I'll take you anywhere, mate.
literally poured coffee on myself.
Everywhere twice. Second time to apologise for bringing you there in the first place.
Sorry, this is why I wear black t-shirts.
That's so funny.
Okay, so sorry, Hoon's
Hoon's End.
Hoon's End.
It's been called that. Like my mum even
Is that
used
its
to go there.
colloquial term? I assume that's not the name of the street.
No.
No.
I think it's the end of Bourbon Street.
Yeah, okay.
It's in between. Well, they've changed it all now because everyone used to drag race. So apparently the whole main street of Bundaberg used to be 2 lanes back in my mum's time, and they'd just drag race the whole time. And there was like a set of lights just before the Hungry Tom, and they'd drag race from there. And
Yeah, right.
yeah, but they've sort of changed it. There's a lot of roundabouts and speed bumps now. But Hoon's End used to be the place to be. You'd hang out and you'd just hang out with your mates, and the cops didn't have a lot to do there, so we often got pulled up. Like I had an R34 Skyline, and the cops pulled me up and go, "Is there any drugs in this car?" I'm like, "No, you can search it if you like. You're not going to find anything." He's like, "Oh no, I can't be bothered." It's like, "Oh, okay." And then when I got my RX-7, my first one, the red one, because I had personalised plates, and they went on each car, so they'd know, that this girl's got a new car because that's her plates.
Yeah.
They pulled me up pretty much like as soon as I brought it back to Bundy, and they were like, "Oh, a new car." I'm like, Jesus Christ, is this cop like stalking me or something? Or do they all just know? Yeah.
No, they'd all know, wouldn't they? That would be the big thing. So what did you get first? You got an R34. Is that your first car?
No.
Did you get something sensible first, or?
My very first car was a Mazda 323 in 1995 model.
Very sensible.
Didn't even have a tachometer. Manual. It was great. Cold aircon. I put some white wheels with some shitty tyres on it that I got from Tempe. They got shipped up to Bundaberg, and I went to a local tyre shop, got them put on. I thought it was cool. I was like, yeah,
That's what you do.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then the next car after that was a 1990 Toyota Celica with little pop-up lights.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
They were a cool car. Very, very unloved, actually.
They are, but they're such a fun car.
Yeah, they're a gem.
That was actually my mum's car, and she loved that car. I think she was very sad that I sort of bought it off her in a way, and she got a Subaru Impreza, and she didn't really like it, but
No, not the
she
same.
needed something newer.
Didn't have that Toyota magic.
Yeah. And then from there, I think I sold that, and I think I bought, it's probably all out of order, I bought a Toyota Levin import model, AE111. Had the 20 valve 4AGE. That thing
Solid. Good choice. Screamer.
It was a mint car. Yep.
I actually saw one of the Corollas for sale, came up on Facebook Marketplace last night with 4AG.
Yeah.
And it had pipes on it. They'd put the
trumpets.
trumpets. My brain's not working. Trumpets haven't been the rage for a long time on your carburetors. And I looked at that. I'm like, oh God, why do I like this? Why would I possibly want this?
Because 4AG life.
And you can just imagine the sound of this little thing just screaming its head off, like not going very fast.
Oh yeah,
but like sounding super fast.
It was definitely.
So 4AG, that was.
That was a good car. It's pretty coffee.
Mate, I'll try not to. This is those shambles. Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
Well, this is my pro tip from having children. Was I used to dress nicely, but then they like just spew on you and throw food at you, and then I just gave up, and I'm like, mate, black t-shirts for life. And because I'm a klutz as well, when I
Me too.
accidentally whoopsie doo-dah.
That's why I like black. It's good. Hides everything.
No problems, and then you can go from here to like working on your car and then do the old and should be right. Yep. Anywho, sorry, 4AG is screaming. How long did you have that one?
I think maybe a couple of years. I've got a really bad memory. I blame it on my diabetes, but I had that for a couple of years, sold it to a guy locally, I think. And then I bought a R34 Skyline from Brisbane. I think it was down Maruka Road. Actually, it was.
Yeah, Magic Mile.
Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't Maruka. It was next road down there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it was dodgy. It had like 200,000 Ks. It had been abused. It had the full Fast and Furious body kit, and it was back in that day. There was like a cigarette burn in the roof, and just
classic.
It was very abused. And I mean, I drove it from the dealership down to the Shell petrol station. And it stalled pretty much like as I was trying to pull into the petrol station. So I called them like, this car's a piece of shit. And they were like, oh, it drove fine when we had it. I'm like, no. So I found out it was like the airflow meter, like revved the fuck out of it. And I must have blown it out and then it would work fine. But it just kept stalling in traffic. And I was like, fuck, what the hell is this piece of shit? So
not what you need.
No, but it's funny. So I bought that car and we went down to Gold Coast to stay because I was still living in Bundaberg at the time. And we were with some other friends and they were JDM enthusiasts as well. And there was a car dealership that they wanted to look at that had a lot more JDM cars because at the time they were everywhere. You could just go and look at all these beautiful cars and go, this is amazing. So I went to this other one and I remember walking in and there was, I'm not sure which drifter, but it was like a 32 front with a 34 rear end or vice versa, maybe 32 rear with 34 front end. It was a drift car. It had like all the livery all over it. And in the middle of the workshop, so there was like an A86 and all these really cool JDM cars, Chasers. There was a car in the middle with a black cover on it. And I'm like, what's that? And they were like, oh, we just imported it. It's not for sale yet. You can have a look if you want. And I like pulled up the cover and it was red FD. It's actually the one I bought a year or so later. But
get out of town.
I was like, that's sexy because like that was the first time I've seen an FD in the flesh, and I was like, oh my god, I love this car. I'd literally just picked up the Skyline like an hour ago. I'm going, how much would you trade in that piece of shit out there for this? They're like, oh, we don't want to insult you. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll keep my Skyline.
Yeah.
But literally like a year, I don't even think it was a year later because I just had so many issues. That car I was like, oh, I'm done. So I ended up selling it, and then I bought that same FD like a year or so later.
Wow. What are the odds of that? That's wild.
Yeah.
And the same car, they didn't still have it. They would have moved it on, or they still had it.
Yeah, I think they advertised it was like super expensive. I think it was like 35 grand at the time. That was a lot for an FD.
But it was, mate, you were buying like mint R34 GTR with a Nismo catalogue in it for 40 grand back then to apply context.
Yeah.
And that was $1 billion.
Yeah, but I think I remember going back onto the internet, just like, Googling, and I remember
just
seeing it, and it was 19,990 drive away or something, and I was like, fucking sold. So I sold the Skyline super quick and I bought that, and I was like,
I'm in. And what a bargain! Like again, knowing what we know now,
I wish I kept it. But that's fine.
But that's okay. So, and then that car, that was not a lemon. That was a good one.
It was fairly good.
Aside from the fact that it's a rotary and they're just a nightmare.
I didn't have any issues except two things. It had a rear main seal leak, and the clutch was slipping as well. I think I did a rear wheel bearing, which is just a common thing. And the only issue I had that it got towed for was we put an oil filter on it. So I got it serviced at a Toyota dealership that I worked at. and the seal was apparently only like 2 mil, and it like blew the seal out on the side of the Ipswich motorway, literally down the road there.
Whoops.
I can see every time I drive past there, I'm like shake my fist.
That spot.
Yep, that one right there. Yeah, blew the seal out and just dropped all the oil from the oil filter. But it took Ben from Rotary Motorsport like a week to figure out what was wrong with it. He was like, I don't know, it's got no oil in it, but like I don't know where it came out. And yeah,
So
that was the only issue.
Yeah, wow. Just express pumped it out. See you later.
Yeah, just
That's actually pretty good, considering what can happen with rotaries.
touch wood. I have not had one rebuilt yet, but
No, but you haven't worked your new one, have you? You've kept that.
it's best to keep in stock. Like I would like to get another toy, maybe like an
Yeah.
FC convertible and put
Do
a
dumb
13
things.
Bridgeport and a just like something that's noisy, a noisy cruiser that, you know, people go, what is that? And, you know, I love convertibles, so having rotary convertible with big, you know, BP. Oh,
Dream.
yep. Dreams, goals. That'll be
Yeah.
the next one.
Yeah. FD convertible.
I saw one of those in Japan.
That thing? Yeah. FC, is that the one before?
FC,
The FC,
yep.
the boxy.
They don't make the
No.
FDs in a convertible unless you like
cut the roof off.
like what? Yeah, Sunburst in Japan do. I think it's Sunburst. Yeah.
Yeah. FC convertible. I've seen a few of those.
Yes.
Kicking around. That'd be cool. And particularly if it had something like lumpy
Yes. A big
and
Bridgeport
loud.
NA, just like all noise.
Bad, 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 bad.
Rup,
I look again, not my cup of tea. I choose different suffering, but I have nothing but appreciation for the magnificence of those little engines.
They are incredible. Takes a special breed
Oh.
to like them though.
Yeah, it does, but like so much power. They're 1.3 litres and they're like just silly. And whenever you see Mad Mike's car,
Oh, it's
the
incredible.
sound
Yeah.
and the performance, it's the showboating associated with that. And you're like, and 10-foot flames out the back.
They're just incredible. Like, you know, even people that aren't really car people like them. You know, they don't want to admit it. They're like, oh, it's noisy, but you can tell that they like it. You know?
Oh, they're really nice because Bo Hanlon, who's been on the show, he's got one.
Yeah.
And he's taken me for a burnout in his, and they're just lovely. And the cockpit as well. It's like a fighter jet or something.
You'll have to come to Rotary Revival, get in a whole bunch of them. Then you might become a convert.
No, I can't do it. I can't
Yes, you
do
can.
it.
Yes, you
Can't
can.
do it.
You don't like smelling like castor oil and fuel, unburnt fuel?
Look, I do. I'm just not ready for it.
Okay.
It's like boat ownership. It's one of those things. I'm just not ready for it. Like you can't. You're aware of the upside, but you're also acutely aware of the downside. And you look at it and you're like, unsure.
Yeah.
Unsure. But
I get
mate, the noise gets me every time because I'm
Yeah.
I'm all about the noise.
See, that's why you just got to come to a Rotary Revival then.
When's the next one of those?
Been next year sometime. I'm not entirely sure when the next dates are. Usually around April. So let's come out. Maybe do
Mate,
a live one of these,
mate,
but
I'm
you
gonna
won't be able to hear anyone.
I'm going to be a live podcast. It's going to be great. We'll just be in the background just going like, yeah, that'd actually be a great podcast.
It would be.
You could just have one stream, just the noises of just cranking rotaries, and then just another one where we're actually talking to rotary owners and going, why are you out of your mind?
We're all out of our mind.
Look, there's worse things to waste your money on. So that car that you bought, that was obviously a reasonably pivotal moment for you, jumping into that RX-7, going into that world, and then taking that home. So you've picked that car up and taken it back
To
to
Bundaberg.
Bundaberg,
Yep.
where they've flagged you and gone, nice car, pulled you over. Did you get pulled over all the time in that car, or?
Every car, because I think the cops in Bundaberg were a bit bored because there's not
Right.
a lot to do. Like there's obviously the usual sort of stuff, but easy pickings, I guess you could say.
Did they ping you for stuff, or?
Not really. It was fairly stock. Had like aftermarket wheels, but they didn't poke or anything, and like the car was stock, so there wasn't really anything to ping me for. So it was just, you know, if you sped or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Just harassment.
yeah, it was just harassment. They were bored. They just wanted to pull you over or, you know, look at the car sometimes. So, you know, it is
Yeah.
what it is.
My brother had an FC, and he would be pulled over pretty much every time we went out
Yeah.
in it. It was a bit loud. You could hear it from at least a kilometre away. But he would just get pulled over all the time, to the point where there was a bit of a showdown with the local police because it was
Wow.
just like it actually wasn't. And this is the thing, mate. There's no disrespect to people doing their job, but it was just a very strange where you just go, when we're not doing it, there's nothing wrong.
I think that the policing's changed a lot. Like back then, it was very heavily focused on the hoons and, people just trying to enjoy their cars. And now it's sort of eased off a bit. I don't know if it's because we're older now. So when they look at us, they go, nah.
And that's the problem is I drive around these days in much faster cars, and I'm always looking around going,
just paranoid, hey?
Absolutely, totally paranoid. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I'm actually, because I drive like a grandpa, like I don't even turbo car, I barely get it on boost.
Unless there's someone out the high.
And unless there's somebody, giving it a G up, then I'll give it a massive dose. But like you forget that you actually, because we are old now, and there's the Ipswich Road ambulances just playing you our favourite tune. There is not one behind you when you look around in your car. But Ipswich Road, it's just mate, what a symphony. I'll miss it when I have a real podcast studio.
You'll have to just get the
sound. Yeah, I'll just randomly play it.
Yeah,
midway through.
Everyone driving can be like, where is it? Where is it?
Just as a throwback.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Bundy FD is where I was going. Mate, I love falling off track. How long did you have that car up there?
I'm not entirely sure. I think I had it for a little while. So I was still working in my marketing job, and I remember you had to park in like the car park that all the general public parked in. And I came out to it one day, and someone had reversed into the front of it and just cracked the front bumper with a bull bar.
Tears.
And I was literally crying. I went into
as you would be,
the CEO, and I'm like, "Can you check the cameras? Someone reversed into my car." And she's like, "Oh, they don't go like to that part of the car park." And I was like so upset, but I don't think I was there for that long with the FD.
Yeah.
Because I did bring it with me to Brisbane, so that was my car that I came to Brisbane in. I obviously hired a truck to move all my other furniture and stuff as well.
Not a great car to move house with.
No. Not a lot of room.
Struggle to get the dining table in the back.
Yes.
What was the organisation that you worked for? What was the charity?
It was called Impact Make Your Mark. So it was a not-for-profit organisation. They did a lot of training, disability support. So they help people upskill. So I did like a Cert 3 in business administration, but I did more marketing. So I had to learn like Joomla. So I had to learn some coding for the website. And
it's OG. Nobody uses that anymore. It's pain in the ass.
Yeah, it was terrible. And my manager, she was such a Nazi. She's like, this needs to be centered. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I've never been taught. So I just had to like go in the background and play with a heap of things. I'm like, I made it work.
Figure it out.
Yeah, so I don't think she really appreciated my genius there, but that's fine.
No, people really do.
Yeah. So I did that, and then so there was disability support and training, all that sort of stuff.
So the marketing stuff was what drew you in. So you'd done a little bit of study. This is obviously post high school, and
I sort of dropped out of high school.
Yeah.
Did grade 10, did the first or half day of grade 11. I said, fuck this. And I literally walked out of the school and walked to my mum's work. So my mum worked at Centrelink. So I remember walking to Centrelink. She's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, not doing school, Mum. She's like, okay, well, you can't do anything. So I enrolled in TAFE and did Cert 3 in hospitality.
Nice.
Which I've never used, but that's fine.
It's all right. You got to,
as
long as you're doing something.
Yep. So I did that, and I think I worked at IGA. Was like my first real job. And then I got into that. So that was like a traineeship. So did a Cert 3 in business administration through the company.
Yeah, through your employer. Because they're they're a big operation.
Yeah. So they were all based government funding. So we'd write tenders. So I'd assist my manager with writing tenders to get government funding for different things.
Yeah, right.
So there was also like at youth risk programs, which they're called pods, which I can't remember what that acronym was short for, but it was for, like youth that were maybe into drugs and they were trying to get them off the bad paths and stuff like that. And
because was Bundy bad with all that now? Like you think about Townsville today, which is like a circus. Was Bundy rough then, or was it?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
It really depends. Like there is a lot of rough people in Bundaberg, but then there's also some really not rough people. But I mean, the demographic is completely different to Brisbane, but there is a bit more of a lower socio-economic there. So
people just need support.
Yeah, they just need a bit of help, I guess.
Yeah.
So
okay, so you did that study, and then they supported you through that through IGA.
No, I left IGA.
Left IGA, and so this was the charitable organisation. They were able to secure some training for you
Yeah.
to
So-
do that. Oh, fantastic.
So I sort of did that as well as working full time. So I'd do like my business administration course sort of like during work hours because it was part of my employment.
Yes.
So it was really good. And then I became friends with a certain owner of a performance workshop in Brisbane, and they were looking for a receptionist / service advisor. So I came down and did a job trial for about 2 weeks in Brisbane. And I was like, yep, this is what I want to do. And I told my manager at the time, look, I'm going to Brisbane, I'm going to do this trial. I might not be coming back. Came back and said, yeah, I'm going to take the job. And she's like, oh, surprise, surprise. And I was like, well, you know, it's my life. This is the choice I want to make. This is my next step. So, you know, packed up and moved to Brisbane. I actually moved in with Gareth Ball, who runs Rotary Revival.
There you go.
So, you know, 2 rotor heads in one house.
Well, is that how you guys knew each other too, or is he Bundy as well? Or
No. So I think she put up like a post on Facebook. So Facebook was quite young.
Oh, mate, have a go at Ipswich Road. It's going off today. Sorry about those sirens there. So sorry, with Gareth, how did that come together?
So she put up a post on Facebook. So this was, 10, 11 years ago saying, oh, hey, we've got a new receptionist starting with us. She needs somewhere to live. And I remember there was a couple of people that replied, oh, yep, I've got a room, blah, blah, blah. Because I had my cat as well. So I had my cat and my car.
Yes.
And I was like,
Got to be comfortable with these things.
Yes, exactly. And
sensible driveway.
Yeah.
Undercover. All the important things.
It wasn't undercover, unfortunately. I know. But at the time, like,
terrible.
It was
Whatever you can take.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I went to a few places and just sort of clicked with Gareth. He was easygoing and thought, yep, okay, we'll move in here. And
perfect.
Yeah, so the rest is history. Moved down and worked for them for a while.
And so to unload all of this, and this is where I first crossed paths with you. And again, we didn't know each other at all back then. But that was Mercury Motorsport.
It was.
And so it was Tess, and you knew her via the internet because, again, she was fairly prolific, as an internet car person doing lots of those things. And I was working with her specifically on that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And before we came on, and this is one of the really funny crossovers, it was like a decade ago. What year are we in now?
23.
2023, bloody hell. And it was Phil Scanlon and I said, oh, can we do a video of your R34 GTR Nitto? And so we did an interview and filmed a thing, and hilariously, you actually have recollections of that.
Yes, very vague. I do remember like the massive
the jig
that you used back then.
The jib arm. This is what's so funny is there were no Ronins or Steadicams or any of that stuff back then, and so we had a full bloody jib arm, which is how you used to move a camera around if you wanted it to go up, down, left, and right.
Nice and smoothly.
Nice and smooth, absolutely. So you had to bring this whole enormous piece of equipment, but that was where I first encountered you because FD RX-7, pretty good looking car.
It was very.
Don't see a ton of those around, and obviously then, an enthusiastic female owner as well. Again, don't find too many of them. And that's just a combination that stands out and is certainly memorable because that was the first time I sort of came across you because, you had the plates on the car as well.
Yeah, my 04 NKA. Everyone used to call them Anchor.
Anchor, there you go. And this is what's hilarious is anybody in this world, we all know each other. Quite often by either the internet handle or the car registration plate, and you might not be able to remember them, but you'll be able to describe the car down to the nth degree.
Yeah, I remember like 10 years ago, I'd save someone like with their name and then what car they had.
Yeah,
that would be the way that I remember them. I'm like, oh, I can't remember their name. What car did they have? And then you'd find it in your phone book and go, oh, that's that person.
Yeah, you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. No, it's a 2006 in. And you remember the paint code and.
Yes, that's it. Engine.
Yeah, the engine, all
wheels.
the things, and which modifications, and something wrong with all of us, isn't there?
Yes.
And then that job is basically what then broke you into the automotive world here in South East Queensland.
Certainly did.
Yeah. Because how long did you work there?
It wasn't a long time. It was a couple of months. So they were trying to bring in normal servicing at the time.
Yeah.
So I think they were using Groupon vouchers, if you remember those.
Oh, wow, Groupon. Takes me back.
Yeah, so they were trying to get normal car servicing just to, sort
Yeah.
of bring in a bit extra money
another stream.
your big builds are happening. Obviously, there's
'Cause
not a
they're
lot
slow.
slow and, not a good
No,
cash flow. Sort
painful.
of. Yeah, so did that. And sort of it just dried up. It was too hard. Groupon, you get someone with a Magna come in and it needed like platinum spark plugs or, like the better quality ones, but that wasn't included in the Groupon voucher.
No.
So you get like a different breed of people that, I only paid for this. This is all I wanted to pay. And
they want to spend $150 and the bill's $3,000 and they think you're
trying to rip them
pulling the chain and you're like, no, mate, you haven't serviced your car for 8 years. Like, it's cooked.
Yeah,
That's a very, very hard conversation to have with people.
Definitely is, yes.
When the car has been run on pure abuse.
Yep.
No, I can see the complexity in that. And so what happened next?
So I pretty much got made redundant, which was okay. I was in Brisbane. I was happy. I did have a mortgage with my ex-partner at the time, so I was a bit stressed for money, but my parents, love them to death, absolutely. They helped me out during that time until I found a job because it was quite hard at that time to find a job. So I think that's about 2012, I believe.
Yeah, not like it is now where they're screaming for people in every direction and they throw money at it. Yeah, there was a time where we as employees had to take less and less and really fight for a role. Yeah, far out. So tell me how that battle went.
It was hard. I think there was at least maybe 6 months between redundancy and finding a job. It may have been longer. I have a terrible memory, but because I couldn't find a job, I thought, well, I don't want to do nothing. So I enrolled in CATC, which is Commercial Arts Training College. It was in Fortitude Valley at the time, and I started doing a diploma in graphic design because I was arty. I sort of like that sort of stuff, so started doing that. And then I found a role doing, I think they call it nighttime service for Toyota Skyfleet in Kedron.
Yeah.
So they actually operate, I think, from like 7:30 in the morning until midnight.
Oh, wow.
So the reason they do that, and they're not the only ones, there's also one in Wollongabba that does it, different company, but still a Toyota dealership, is for the guys that have service vehicles like high aces, like your plumbers and stuff that need their car during the day. They could come in after hours, get the car serviced, get it fixed, and not be, missing out on jobs and opportunities.
You can pick it up at 6 a.m. the next day and not.
Oh, they'd often just wait there. Like we had a full. Have you ever been there?
No.
They had like a toaster and food and like good coffee machine. Like it was like pretty much a little buffet, and you could just wait there.
Good place to hang out.
Yeah, so I worked midday until 9 p.m. Monday to Friday. So I'd missed out on a lot of, friends' birthdays or catching up during the week sort of thing. But I was like, a job's a job.
Absolutely.
So I took it, and I think I was still studying at the time. So I was doing like morning with training or like my degree, diploma, and then I was doing work. So I don't know how I did it when I was young and fit. And
they're big days.
they were big days. So I was doing a lot, and then, coming home at night at 9 o'clock, maybe doing a couple of hours of homework. And I don't think I could do it now.
No,
I think I'd put myself into an early grave.
You're making me tired just think about that. They're big days. Again, they're joys of youth.
I know. Well, like, can I have some of that energy?
Don't even notice it. You're like, yeah. And we're not even that old. Look at us going.
I know.
Back in my day.
Back in my day. Literally, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So at Skyfleet, and again, that would be a lovely experience because that's so Toyota.
It was a Toyota dealership.
Yeah.
It was. I liked working that one because I had a manager who he would come in at 3 p.m. and he'd finish midnight. So we sort of crossed over.
Yeah, on the changeover.
Yeah.
But you'd work together through the bulk of that, which is good.
Yeah.
And just cover the extremities. So you had the first 3 hours, he had the last
3
hours.
It was a bit difficult because there was a lot of females that worked in that dealership that did the morning or like the normal shift, so 7:30 till 5. And when I'd come in at 12, I would be trying to catch up from the previous day getting authorizations for fleet companies because you're supposed to get that before you do the work. But because they're closed at, 5 o'clock, my first things that I would do would be doing that. And all of the girls that worked with me in that dealership would bully me and they'd be like, oh, there's people here, you need to see them. I'm like, no, I have these things to do. So, like, there was a lot of friction and, like, I I've always sort of stood up for myself.
Yeah.
So the service manager kept bringing me in. He's like, oh, you need to do this. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, talk to my direct manager. I think his name was Shane. Said, I need to do this when I first come in, and then I can assist them. But this is my role when I come in, 12 o'clock to however long it takes me to get through the previous day. That's what I got to do. So there was a bit of bullying, and then I eventually got sick of it. And then there was a role that came up still with Skyfleet, but just at Albion. So I transferred there, but that was, 7 a.m. till, 5:30. So that was another big shift.
Big days.
Big
Dealership
days.
life is not for the faint of heart.
It's definitely not, no.
No.
Especially service advising. It's a terrible role.
Yeah, anything in dealerships I've played in that world, and it's hard yards.
You need to be like a duck.
Yeah. Hard yards.
Yeah, so...
Was it a bit better than in the next role?
Yeah, it was like chalk and cheese. It
Really?
was so much better. But there was I was working with boys as well, so I feel like I just get on better with boys because I can tell them to go fuck themselves, and they're like, oh no, she told me. Girls just
Absolutely.
get really, about it. But
whereas the fellas would be like, solid.
they'd be like, oh, we can actually banter.
Yeah,
with this
absolutely.
chick.
Yeah, shenanigans. We're not trying to cut you down.
Yeah. So I was
Nice.
one of the boys, and I really loved it there.
Yeah.
And at that time, or around that time, I actually got diagnosed with my type 1 diabetes, which was life-changing.
Because I was wondering where that crossed over into the story, because obviously I'm aware of this, and that's a pretty fucking significant...
Life-changing event.
Yeah. So
it was 10 years ago.
wow, 10 years ago. So backpedal through this. So you were service advising, and for people that don't know anything about dealership land, we just make wild assumptions. What does a service advisor do?
So in the morning we would do driveway service. So I think it opened about 7:30 until about 9:30. You'd be in the driveway, which was literally like a wind tunnel at Albion, if you've ever been there. And the cars would drive up, and you'd go to the car and you'd, book them in, see if there's any issues, blah, blah, blah. Take their keys. So, you'd probably have like 25, 30 cars each service advisor per day. And you'd have to follow up on that car throughout the day. So you'd have to... they'd be like, oh, this one needs brakes, this one needs tyres, this one has an oil leak from the tapper cover gasket. And it'd be my role to call, the customer going, oh, you need, X, Y, Z, and explain it in like layman's terms so they could actually understand it. Because if I go, tapper cover gasket, they're like, oh, what's that? And it's
what?
like, yeah, so you'd be like, it's like a seal at the top of the engine is leaking, so you need to replace it. So, explain it in a way that anyone could understand.
Explain like I'm 5.
Yes, literally. So... I did that for, a while with Toyota.
And that would have been lovely in terms of the depth of knowledge you would have developed. And I have to imagine Toyota being the sort of company that they are, that they would have fairly rigorous training processes and all sorts of things to help get you through that. Is that
yes
familiar?
Yes and no.
Or you just got thrown under the bus and had to figure it out?
They would train you in how to speak with customers, but they wouldn't train you with technical knowledge.
Really?
Whereas... Well, I think that was the case. Like, again, my memory is shot. But I was the kind of person that I was like, oh, if I don't know what this is, I'm going to go out to the mechanic and I want them to show me and explain to me so I actually understand it because I don't want to sound like a dumb shit. So,
And you don't want to be queried by somebody and go,
yeah, and then, there was a time, like an old guy.
Yeah.
It was all old white men that had like your 70 series Land Cruiser 79. And... he was booked in for like a 60 or an 80,000, which was a major service. And I remember him going, nah, don't want to talk to you, love. Give me one of the mechanics. So and I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I was like, I'm still going to be looking after your car regardless. But I got the, you don't often have the workshop foreman there on the driveway in the morning, just in case there was something that they could fix on the driveway fairly simply. So he came over and he's like, blah, blah, blah. And then I think I ended up calling him during the day and said, oh, your car needs this. And then I explained what it was in layman's terms. And I was like, and then when he picked up the car and I was explaining his service, which was like, repacking the grease and the wheel bearings and stuff, he went, oh, I'm so sorry, love. I just thought you were like a receptionist and you had no knowledge of cars. And I'm like, don't judge a book by its cover.
Amen. Amen. You're like, get back in your box, dickhead. That's, don't make assumptions.
Yeah. Yeah, but
good on him though for eating his words.
Yes, it was nice for him to actually go, oh, sorry, love. So I was like, yeah,
bit of sorry, love.
Yeah, sorry, love.
Amazing that you can be patronising while apologising. That's an impressive
Old white man
talent.
logic.
Old white man logic. It's
Yeah.
that, what do we say? Burma's going to boom. So,
Boom, 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 boom.
boom, boom. But that's all right. So you were working there in your service advisor role, being told that you didn't know what you're doing by lovely people, while actually doing a lovely job, because it's interesting listening to you talk about cars, and the depth of your knowledge is something that I have been impressed by as I've seen your commercial abilities. But yeah, type 1 diabetes, what the fuck? How did you realise there was something wrong?
It was very odd. So I remember doing a driveway service, and I was wearing, like the little flats that the girls wear that sort of just cover your toes. And my feet were swollen, like it was like jelly was like on top of my foot. It was the weirdest feeling. So I was like walking around and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like it was like I took my shoe off and you could see like a lump, and I've got a photo somewhere, I'll have to find it. But pretty much I had like edema from my knees down to my feet, and then my whole like leg was like swollen. Yikes. And I remember talking to my mum and my grandma, like, oh, go to the doctors, like, you know, go get it checked out. So I went. And the doctor sent me for like a urine or a blood test, and she's like, oh, you're probably pregnant. And I'm like, I'm not fucking pregnant. I'm like, there's something wrong with me. So that sort of, nothing happened there. So I was probably, fully not, my pancreas wasn't working at that stage, but that's fine. So I was like, okay, sort of left it for a little while.
So the test didn't show anything? The stuff that they did?
They just tested for pregnancy. They didn't test for anything else. Yeah.
And this is the joys which you would have learnt, that in medical stuff, you need to self-advocate.
Yep.
If you think there's something wrong, you need to say, I think we need to try something else. I've discovered that that's really important in this world.
It definitely is.
Crap. Okay, so what happened next?
I think I just sort of kept going for a while, but I started getting more and more symptoms, which I didn't realise I had at the time. So
of course. Well, how would you know?
Exactly. No family history that we know of. But so I had extreme thirst. So I was drinking like a litre of water like in a minute, and going to the toilet like, every half hour, if even that. Extreme tiredness. So I was like, I remember driving home from work one night. I had a new 86 at the time. And I had a micro sleep, and if it wasn't for the vibrating lines, I probably would have crashed and died. I was going home, and I'd like just come home, and I was still living with Gareth at the time.
Yikes.
And he's like, are you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm just like tired. I'm just exhausted. And I just remember going home and just sleeping, but I couldn't sleep for a full night. I'd have to get up and pee, and I was just constantly thirsty. So I had all the symptoms, but I don't know what was wrong with me.
No, you weren't able to connect the dots on that.
No.
You just think, oh, a bit off, worked too hard, exhausted.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought it was all
burning
that.
the candle at both ends, etc.
Yeah, because I think I was still also doing my diploma in graphic design, but I was doing it at night. So I was sort of literally burning.
So you'd be knackered.
Yeah.
And so
it all made sense.
Yeah, if your body was shitting itself, you go, it's just because I'm cooked.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it was interesting time, but I think I eventually went back to the doctors and said, look, there's something wrong with me. And then that doctor said, okay, we'll do full blood screen. And this is the funny part. I was petrified of needles. I did not have a single fucking piercing, did not have any tattoos. I was like, you put a needle out and I'd like run. I was like, no, I don't want to get a blood test. So the next day, I think that was like a Thursday, he said, go get a blood test. And I was like, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. I've got a half day.
Yeah.
So, worked the morning, got my mum to come with me because I was
warm yourself
petrified.
up to it. Absolutely. Mate, I need someone to hold my hand. I also don't enjoy such things.
Well, I got a blood test this morning.
There you go.
That was fine.
You're all over it. You wouldn't notice now.
I don't. I'm like,
oh, yep. Pin cushion.
Yeah, that's it. I'm like, oh, yep, another needle. Whatever. So, yeah, my mum, and she came with me, and literally, arm out, and I'm like tucked into her like shoulder, like, oh, I can't look at it. Got the blood test done. That was like Friday after lunch. Literally Saturday morning, I got a phone call from the doctor saying, you've got type 1 diabetes. You need to come to the doctor surgery like right now. And the first words that came out of my mouth, because I was super skinny, that's another thing, was weight loss. Right. I lost a lot of weight. I was like a size 6 or an 8. And I just looked anorexic. Like if you didn't know me, you could see all my skeleton. I just looked sickly. I was like, but I'm not fat, because I didn't know anything about diabetes. And you just think, oh, diabetes is...
too much sugar, etc.
Yeah. So I went down to the doctors, and then the doctor that I saw wasn't there, but I saw another doctor, Dr. Tut. He's amazing. and I was like so confused because he called me, but I didn't know if it was the doctor that I saw the day before. So I went in there and the receptionist was confused. So I just went and sat down, and then he's like, "Oh, is that Anika?" And he's like, yeah. So he brought me in. He's like, "Oh, so you've got type 1 diabetes." And I'm like, cool, what's that?
Talk me through this.
Yeah, or like I think they pricked my finger again, and I was like, oh, they're like, oh, we're just going to do a quick little blood check. And I was like freaking out. I'm like, fuck, like I don't want to do this. And they, took me out the back and pricked my blood sugar, and I'd been fasting obviously all night. And like the nurse like looked at him and he looked at her like, wow, sort of like, fuck. I'm like, okay, something's going on here. Took him back into his room. He's like, so you got diabetes? And I'm like, okay, explain what's next. And he's like, so right now you should probably go home and pack an overnight bag and go to hospital because you could die at any second.
Cool.
Yeah, bit life-changing. So I was like, fucking what?
Yeah, you're like, what?
And I'm like crying, and I'm like, okay, so like what do I need to do? And he's like, so you'll need to take like insulin injections for the rest of your life. And I'm like, no, I'm fucking petrified of needles. And he's like, that it is what it is. I'm like, can I rub a cream on my skin? Can I take tablets? Can I do like anything except take a needle? And he's like, no. So I was like crying because I was so fucking petrified. I hated needles. I was like, complete needle phobia. Like in primary school, I used to get all the needles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I had a nurse have to sit on me to give me a needle. Like I was so scared. I was like, no. So I went home, called my mum and my sister crying because I'm like, I said I need to go to emergency and can you come with me? I'm fucking so scared. And my sister ended up coming, and my mum picked me up and went to the hospital and was there. I think it was Saturday. I was supposed to go to like a gala dinner for Toyota as well, so I had to cancel that. And Gareth had like tickets to like a football thing like in the box, so I was like so excited. I had all these things on because that's why I was like, do I have to go? And he's like, well, you could die. And I'm like, okay, I guess I better go to the hospital then,
Seems important.
Yeah. So I went to the hospital, and there's no diabetic educators that work on the weekend, so I had to spend all weekend in the hospital getting stabbed by nurses every time I had a meal.
Good.
Yeah, it was great.
What a fucking great introduction.
Yeah.
So gave up a wonderful weekend.
IV in one arm, and then this one was completely bruised from all, constant blood tests and
Fucking hell. How long were you in hospital for that first stint? Do you remember?
So I went in on Saturday, and it took like nearly all day to get through like emergency triage and have a bed ready for me. So I had an IV in my arm to hydrate me because I was, at the point I was like, blood sugar was high, so it was probably, fluid as well as maybe a bit of insulin. I'm not entirely sure, but so was in there all day and then stayed overnight, and I think I ended up leaving Monday afternoon, but they wouldn't let me go until I actually gave myself a needle, which was petrifying. I actually made my mum and my sister give themselves needles first because I was like, I can't do this. And so it was, got released Friday afternoon, and then sort of began my new life. But something really bizarre that not a lot of people know is I actually went blind for about a month. Yeah, so
holy shit.
Yeah, so because your body, I was probably undiagnosed for a while, because they just thought I was pregnant because I had swollen feet. Your body actually adjusts, and it's crazy how your body can compensate. And because my eyesight got used to my blood sugar being like at a high level for so long, when I started taking insulin and bringing it back down, and I brought it back down quite quick, my eyesight was just shot. So I couldn't drive for like a month. And
wow.
Yeah, I couldn't
that
really work.
That would have been terrifying by itself. Did they explain that to you?
They did, luckily, because if they didn't, I'd be like, excuse me, I can't see. It was just like really blurry, like to the point like I wouldn't be able to see you. It'd just be like,
my God.
Yeah, so that was quite scary.
What a fucking nightmare. So how old were you at that time? Was that 20-something?
20, 22, 23, around about
23.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So quite young to be dealing with.
I was actually technically old.
Old, really?
Yeah. They said like usually people, children get diagnosed with diabetes first. So I was technically an older.
Really?
Yep.
At 23.
They call it juvenile diabetes, or it used to be called juvenile diabetes for type 1. So.
Yeah. Holy hell. I think it must have started raining. I'm getting
Yeah, I can hear that
Really
feedback.
weird feedback, but I assume it's the tin roof here.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely bucketing down.
Oh,
The
yay.
joy of the studio headphones is you can't really hear it, and then there's this weird little feedback. Which
Yeah, I
is,
thought it was like I'd
yeah,
done
I thought
something
it was
to the
too,
mic.
and I'm like, I got a fan over here. Is it that? No, that's just my totally inappropriate sound studio that has no sound deadening.
Send it
Mate,
down, Huey.
that's
Wow.
mate, that's coming down.
So glad I straightened my hair.
I'm glad. Yeah, that'll go really well. Tell you what, we might pause it here for a minute because that's ridiculous.
Yep.
We'll be back. Well, I'm delighted to report that the storm has now passed. I have never had to stop a recording for an extreme weather event, but there you go, first time for everything. What we did manage to do in that time, we considered getting some lunch, but that would prove too difficult. But what we did instead was jumped on Sega Rally 2 from 1997.
Yep. That was so much better than lunch.
Mate, so much better than lunch, and it holds up, doesn't it?
It really does. It's so cool. I'm jealous. I want one.
That is one of those things that I'm very proud to have in the toy collection.
Don't sell it.
Genuine arcade. Yeah, and that's the thing. You look at it and you go, because you don't play it as much as when you first bought it. Like, geez, we put some hours in on that. But it's
You're
just
really good.
Yeah, put some time in. And it's just the force feedback in it as well.
Yeah.
And when you think back to how crappy computers were then, I mean, we had like a 486, I think, was the home computer, and it would have had a 3.5-inch floppy disk when that was made.
Yeah.
And so for it to have 3D rendered graphics and force feedback steering and handbrake and manual gearbox,
So cool.
it's so different to the stuff that we had.
Yeah.
At
I
that point
remember
in
floppy
time.
disks.
Floppy
Discs.
disks. Yeah, mate. Holy. I'll leave that one. Now, what we were talking about was your type 1 diabetes and that whole
Life adjustment.
life adjustment, because that was brutal. And I think where we're up to, because we're trying to figure it out before we jump back on here, was the fact that you went blind as well as part of it, and sort of lost your vision as you were getting, because it's insulin, isn't it? That you have
Yeah,
to
I take
inject.
insulin. Yeah.
Yeah. And is it multiple times a day? Like when you started then, like what did you actually have to do? Because they were teaching you at that point, and you said, I'm terrified of this. How?
So I think I started, I was taking Nova Rapid, which is fast-acting insulin for food. So pretty much any time I have food, so breakfast, lunch and dinner, so that's 3 injections. If I had a coffee or anything in between that, that would also be another injection. And then I think I was on a long-acting called Lantus, which stung like an absolute motherfucker. You take that once a day because that's a long-acting insulin. So and then I changed from that one to a different one, which I then had to take twice a day, so morning and night. So every day it was about 5 injections. So going from my mum and nurses holding me down for needles and, to trying to inject yourself is very life-changing.
Does it go in your thigh? Is that the
stomach usually?
stomach?
Yeah. You do your thigh or your leg. So you sort of switch it up. You get a couple of bruises on your stomach and then you're like, oh, I'm sick of that. So you do your leg. I did my arm once and it like pissed out blood. So I'm like, I won't do that one again.
Won't do that one.
Yeah. But I use an insulin pump now. So that's 1 injection every 3 days. And that gives me a constant sort of baseline insulin. It's Nova Rapid, but it's delivered in like micro doses. So it gives me a baseline. But then like if I have anything to eat, I'll tell it what I'm eating. And it has all these calculations in the background that works out insulin on board. And, if you've got different modes activated, like activity, it's very complicated.
But you have to still manually enter that in. So it's still a hideous life adjustment.
It is.
In terms of, because you've got to be so aware of what you're having and what you're doing. And again, that's an enormous responsibility.
Yeah, you can't just, I mean, like it sounds really silly, but I can't just like go for a brisk walk right now. Like I'd be like, okay, have I eaten? Do I have insulin on board? I need to adjust my ratios and make sure I'm in a safe level before I exercise. Like everything is a bit more planned.
Yeah, a bit more involved. You
Yeah.
can't just get up and go. You've got to stop and think about where you're up to.
And take, sugar with me, like
Wow.
just in case. And I've done things in the past where I've forgotten to take sugar, then had a low and then gone, crap.
Yeah, and then you're stuck without it and you've got to try and
try and figure it
fix
out.
it and
Like I've literally,
find.
like, you know, the sugar packets you get at the
Yeah,
cafes,
yeah.
I've literally shotted them
Yeah, wow, just to try and get
just
it
to get my sugar
balance
back
out.
up. Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's a constant battle, but, you know, I don't let it affect me. I sort of just go, look, you know, it's a part of me. It's not all of me, and I just make it
Yeah.
my bitch and just go,
Yeah,
you know.
and show it who's boss.
Yep.
I'm sure you weren't. That's a wonderful attitude to have 10 years down the road, but I'm sure at the time you probably didn't have that same stoic attitude. You probably was it. How did you find as you went back to work and back into, I guess, normal life with this new challenge?
It was definitely difficult. I feel like it changed me as a person. Like I sort of had, I think I sort of remember sitting in the hospital bed and going, okay, I think it was after I had like lunch or something and the nurse came and gave me an injection. So they'd come and give me an injection when my food was there because, you know, you got to balance what you're eating with your insulin and all that sort of stuff. And I was getting used to it. And I'm just like, okay, well, you know, I can either let this control me or I can make it my bitch. And I sort of went, I'm going to make it my bitch, and just sort of went, this fucking sucks, but I can't change it. So I'm just going to embrace it and just try and control it as best I can. And like, thankfully, touch wood, like it's been 10 years. I haven't gone back to hospital for type 1 diabetes. I've not had any complications yet. I've got another checkup tomorrow. But I'm very in control of it, and I try and just adjust it myself, and I sort of really understand it. So yeah, it is what it is.
Because I've seen you, I guess, advocating and educating in things that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get much support, or did you sort of have to figure it out yourself when you sort of started this journey?
I knew of a couple of people. I didn't know a lot of people. The medical system is very hard, like trying to find a good endocrinologist, which is a diabetes specialist. I'm still trying to find someone. I just keep going back to the Royal Brisbane, which is where I went when I was diagnosed. But I think it's just like, I feel like everything happens for a reason. Even if it's a shit thing that happens, it happens for a reason. And I just sort of started learning about it, educating myself, and just went, okay, well, you know, it is what it is. And just sort of started advocating. I tried like back when there's another thing that I use with my insulin pump, which is called a continuous glucose monitor with the CGM. Back, you know, a couple of years ago, it was like $500 to $800 a month just to have this technology that just made my life a bit more simple. So I could see what my blood sugar was, and it would talk with my pump and like alert me if I was going low or high. So I used to hack that technology so it wasn't so expensive, but now it's fully subsidized by the government, which is amazing. So it's $35 a month, not
Incredible.
$500 to $800. So yeah, like it's a lot of learning and just sort of, you know, doing what you can. But I tried approaching, I think it was Dexcom and Medtronic and all that, to try and be a sponsor for them, because then they would give you the CGMs for free, but they didn't, you know, come back to me. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to hack your technology then. So instead of it lasting 7 days, I'd make it last 3 weeks. So it wasn't as accurate, but it was still fairly good. So
that's a shitload of money.
It is. It really is.
And it's always lovely when I see things supported or getting that sort of government support that just makes people's lives better.
Yeah.
You know, we live in a wonderful first world country where there is money to do these things. But again, if there aren't people advocating and fighting for these things, they just all slip away.
Yeah.
Because you can always find money for submarines, but you can't find money for, basic health needs.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's a foundation called Danny Foundation. So unfortunately, it was founded on these parents losing their daughter to what they call dead in bed syndrome. So it's literally you go to bed as a diabetic and you don't wake up because your blood sugar either goes dangerously low or dangerously high, and you die in your sleep. So your bed's undisturbed and it looks like nothing happened, but, you know, your diabetes is there. And it's taken like a couple of friends of mine actually. So it is quite scary. And having this technology, they've been an advocate for, you know, type 1 diabetics in Australia. They sort of bought the CGMs from America and, you know, got the government, and, you know, they were advocating to the government, you know, we need this. You know, there's normal people that are functioning members of society that just want to live a bit more of a normal life. And this is all that this technology is. It's not,
No.
something, what would you call it? Like a luxury
No,
item.
it's
But
not a
it's
luxury
the
item.
price
It's-
of a luxury item, like.
It is, and that is a hideous amount of money.
Yeah. It makes me sick to think like
Yeah,
I was
it-
actually paying that. And it was funny because at the time when it was, $500-800 a month, if I was planning pregnancy, I'd get it for free.
Really?
Yep. So
That's even more annoying.
Yeah, so I had a couple of girlfriends that had a couple of extras, so I'd be like driving all over Brisbane and they'd give me like one or two. So like shout out to Crystal and Soraya, thank you.
Bloody legends.
Yeah, so I like drive everywhere just picking up like CGMs, just like,
Good hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah, good hustle. But it's so shit that these are the things that you have to do for things that should be
Basic human right.
basic human. Yeah, and again, we are very fortunate. We live in an incredible place where these things shouldn't be outside the realm of possibility. And if there are things we can do to improve our community, you go, why can we not do this? Yeah, these are simple things that in the scheme of things, the amount of money doesn't even touch the sides, but the difference to people's lives is just extraordinary and exponential.
Yeah, it's honestly been life-changing, and having it so cheap now, like it's just like such a relief. Like I can go to bed and know, okay, like so many times it's woken me up in the middle of the night, and it's woken up Danny as well, because it'll fully alarm.
Yeah, wow.
And it'll like...
So it says that you're crashing or...
Yeah, like I'm
happening.
low, but like also there's compression low. So if I sleep on it, it'll go, oh, you're low, but it's just because the way it works. But yeah, like it has saved me so many times. Like I've woken up in the middle of the night, oh, I need sugar, and you're like...
Absolutely. and when the options include dying...
Yeah, dying or living.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm pretty cool with being woken up by this. What a wonderful thing to have as my body's crashing overnight and I wouldn't get another warning and could potentially be game over.
Yeah, and I've slept through some alarms before and like,
terrifying.
It is pretty scary when you think about it. It's just, it's, as I said, I've lost a friend who I'm pretty sure did the dead in bed thing, so.
Yeah, and didn't obviously have access to one of these.
Because that was, a couple of years ago. So.
Fucking hell. What's the thing called?
It's called a continuous glucose monitor.
Continuous glucose monitor.
It like sort of clips into a sensor. So the sensor is like injected under your skin. So again, another needle, good fun. Press a button and it like shoots a needle in, needle comes out and it leaves a little like filament, and it sort of measures I can't remember the technical word, but pretty much the water in your body.
Right.
And it's a little delayed because obviously it's not like blood. Blood's accurate. It's like right now, but it's a little delayed, maybe like, a couple of minutes, but it is so good. Like I can see right now my blood sugar is 7.1, which is within range. I can see it on my phone, on my watch, on my pump. So it's everywhere. And Danny can also follow me. So I can have like my mum or someone follow.
As a backup safety, which again, if you've got kids and you've got a young person or a teenager or you can help keep an eye on them because, wow.
But I mean, again, going back to when it was really expensive, kids were subsidised. So up to the age of 21, kids were subsidised fully. I think they don't pay anything, which was really hard. So like if...
Well, that's even worse. Yeah, 21 when you're getting paid $8 an hour, it's like, eat shit. Now
it's like, oh, well, too bad, so sad. You grew up with this technology and now you got to go back to fingerprints because,
now you can die.
Yeah.
You don't matter
just
anymore.
go die in your sleep.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So it's good. It was, I think, whenever the elections was, it was bipartisan. So
good.
no matter who got in, I was like, I'm fucking cheering. Like,
Absolutely.
at least we're going to get it. So it was so good.
I have noticed election time is probably a good time to advocate for things. So.
Yes. Closer you get, just go, I want this, and like, let's all sign this petition. And
yes, I saw the other day. Yeah, Bill Shorten's like looking at cuts to the NDIS and cuts to what was it? So kids with autism and ASD stuff, and they're going, level 1, you're disabled, but you're not disabled enough. So costs us too much. We might wind that back.
Really?
And you're like,
wow,
what the fucking fuck? Like I couldn't be more frustrated. When I see things like that and go, there's ways to save money, and that's probably not it.
No,
like
100%.
Taking from the fact that we have a healthcare system where we fund each other and all the things, and we all tip in to help with that,
We're
I
not
think-
America.
Mate, I think that's bloody great. Exactly. I
Yeah.
look at people in America and like you don't go to a hospital because it'll cost you 300 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's far more, it's cheaper and more efficient to just die.
It really is.
Then-
Broken arm, just leave it broken.
Just fucking leave it broken. And I am forever grateful that we don't have that shit show of a health system and that people who need help can get it. And like these are fundamental things that
Well, the cost of insulin in America, one vial is like $1,000. I get like my 3 months supply for like $40.
and it isn't that disgusting?
That
like
is
the
horrible.
straight profiteering
Yeah.
off off people suffering. And oh mate, there's our siren. DJ Ipswich Road, bringing us those sweet siren beats. But it's disgusting.
Yeah.
1,000, like it makes you sick.
People literally go to Mexico to get insulin because it's, you know, the same price as it is here in Australia, because $1,000 and, you know, I've heard of, like, I'm on American
groups.
diabetes pages and they're like, oh, you know, they wouldn't cover this insulin, so they've given me a cheaper one, but like things don't work the same in your body. Like, you know, it's like, you know, you can't really fuck with my life like that.
And this is the thing, is you're just taking the piss, and that's what I look
Yeah.
at and go, you have no value for human life.
They don't care over there,
Well,
really.
they don't. And, you know, my sad assessment of the US is that they are a third world country masquerading as a first world country.
100%.
Because the way, you know, if you've got money, no problems. But if you don't have money, eat shit.
Yeah.
Are your two layers of society, which I firmly disagree with. I
Yeah.
think that there is a percentage of society that just needs help. And if we can make things better for everybody, you know, where is the downside
Yeah. Yeah. It's,
in helping people to be better, feel better, be okay?
it's all about, as we were saying before, not being a shit cunt.
No, exactly. Don't be a fucker. Like it's phenomenally simple. And
Yeah.
that is just like peak fuck wittery. You know, profiting off people's
illnesses,
misfortunes,
things that
yeah.
they didn't ask for, and
No,
they just, you
mate,
know,
that's the hand that you are
health
dealt.
condition. Yeah.
You know, like, ugh, and that'd be awful. Yeah, the stuff you'd see in those sort of groups, and you're just like,
Yeah, I'm like, if I lived in America, I'd have to be really rich, or I'd
Yeah.
just get my sister to send my insulin over
absolutely.
and all my diabetes products.
Move south of the wall.
Yeah,
south of
just
the wall.
Go to Mexico, come back.
Absolutely.
My little
live,
stash.
live down there.
Yep.
Ugh. Well, I think you've taken a wonderful approach in making it your bitch and just going, owned it.
Thank you. I try. Some days are better than others, but swings and roundabouts.
Mate, swings and roundabouts. But as you continued with now diabetes,
Yeah.
where we were up to in your career progression was you were doing the service advising.
Yeah, Toyota and Albion. Yeah.
So you went back there.
Yeah, I
and
was
kept chipping
working-
away?
Yeah, so it was actually probably a good thing that I went there, and then I got diagnosed with my diabetes because the service manager, his wife was also type 1.
Oh, really?
So he also helped a lot, and he
Oh, wow.
yeah. So his name's Evan. He's now at Brendale, I believe, if he's still working there. But he was amazing and just the nicest guy, and he fully understood. And I kept trying. I got picked up by our bus driver. And got taken to work because I couldn't see. And I was trying to work, but I couldn't even look at the computer. So I just tried to help out as best I could during that time because I obviously had just started with them, so didn't have a lot of leave, but they were just very understanding. And once I got back to normal, I was back into it. But
What a good dude. So be like Evan.
yeah, be like Evan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just be kind.
Yeah.
It's impossible, like impossibly simple.
Yes.
Okay, so they and they helped you just step through it, and he obviously had an understanding as
Yes,
well
yeah.
because he had been through it and understood it wasn't.
He's living it every day with his wife, so
Yeah,
you know.
so it wasn't a concept that he had to envisage. He actually understood the battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Far out. How much longer were you there? How much longer did you stay with them?
It was like maybe about a year. And then I think I'd like eventually finish my diploma because I was still sort of doing that part time at night. So, you know, I was burning the candle at both ends. So I was there for a little bit, and I sort of like jumped around after there. Like I went to go do a job, but then I didn't go there, and I ended up at Ferrari Maserati for a short time, which was amazing. the customers were actually like beautiful and I loved them. There was only one pretentious customer that I dealt with, but it was the manager and he was an absolute shit cunt. And I quit because of him. And if he's listening, I'm sorry, mate, but people quit managers, not jobs, because
Always.
Yeah. So I unfortunately resigned from that job because I couldn't deal with him and the way that he ran the service department. And I think I did a little stint. So like I went to like Nissan and I think I did a little stint in actual graphic design, but it was crap. Like I was like, oh, I'm cutting out mattresses for junk mail. I'm like, this isn't what I signed up for. I was like, no.
This isn't the design I was imagining.
No. And then I got a role at Gold Coast Mazda, but I was living in Jindalee, so I drive to Southport every day and go back.
In your rotary?
No, I had it. No, but it probably would have loved it, but it was in my new Toyota 86. So I still had. So yeah, like in
That's
between
right.
all that story,
Red one?
Yeah, it was a red one.
White
yeah,
wheels?
Big aero kit.
Yeah, big wing. I remember the car.
Big wang, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, big wang gang, yeah. So I sold the red FD when I was working at Skyfleet in Kedron doing night service, and I sold it to a guy named Andrew, and he still has her, which I love. You know,
That's nice.
he's still got her. So
In the family, you know its whereabouts.
yeah.
You can keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Make sure. Yeah.
I'm like, bring it out, but you know, he's never home, so at least I can still see her, and you know, she's in a good home, which is good. So
Taken care of.
yeah,
So you went that 8.6 life.
I went the 8.6 life. Yeah,
How did you find 8.6 life?
I actually really loved it. It was it was my first ever new car, and I picked it up from Victoria and drove it back because they didn't have any at the time. I think it was 2013, 2014, around that
I
time.
remember they just went crazy.
Oh, mate, yeah. And I wanted the one with the aero kit, and I was like, yep. So, yeah, flew down and drove it back. But it was so good. Best new car, and they just handle so well. They're fun. You know, it's little skinny 215 tyres. You could just, like, throw it, and it'd be like, just, yeah, such a good car.
Great
Yeah.
car.
Yeah, and, you know, being new, cruise control, all that sort of creature comforts, it was so good, especially driving that far when I was working at Southport every day. But, yeah, it was a good car. I do miss it. I sold it, obviously, but it was good, you know, little step. I think I sold it around about 86,000 K, so I had it new and serviced it religiously and then sold it around about that to a young guy. So who knows if it's still around?
No idea. Best not to ask those questions.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So the job at Mazda at Southport, how long did that?
That was, again, another short stint because I got bullied by the girls there.
People are terrible.
Yeah, so there was 2 females and they didn't like me and they just made my life absolute fucking hell. And, you know, because I was the new girl, I obviously had to leave because they'd been there. Like one of the girls was only there a month or 2 before I was. And I was like, I don't want to drive an hour each day to put up with this shit.
To then be abused in a workplace.
Yeah.
Go fuck off.
So I think I applied on Seek for a role with Bob Jane T-Marts as a relief manager.
There you go.
Yeah, so I had an interview with Michael Cooper, who was a previous regional manager there, and got the job.
What do you know?
Bye, Mazda.
Yeah, see you later. The same problem. I must say, before I had my own show, I worked at a stack of places, and I was horrified at how horrible people can be, and I really don't understand it. I really don't. Like,
Yeah.
how shit does your life have to be to try and make somebody else's life shit?
Yeah, there was like one of those little jobs that I did in between when I was sort of like flaking around was when I was at Nissan and there was this customer. I can't remember what had happened, but I remember him getting really pissed off about something. I think it was the cost of like all the repairs or whatever. He had his card and it was like at a desk, you know, because you'd see them and they'd sit down. He threw his fucking credit card at me, like to swipe it on the machine because he was like pissed because something happened or whatever. And I had my resignation letter already on my boss's desk at this time because I was like, I'm fucking done. So I swiped the card, threw it back across the desk at him, and I was just like, check savings or credit. And he's like, are you fucking serious, you little bitch? And I'm like, check savings or credit. And he's like, I'm putting in a complaint. And I'm just like, that's fine. You can do that. And then like my boss was like, were you like mean to that guy because of that? And I said, no, he treated me like shit. So I just reciprocated, you know. It had nothing to do with my resignation was already on your desk. Like I would have done the same thing if it wasn't there.
Absolutely. Don't be a fuckwit.
Yep,
Wow.
don't be a shit
It's
cunt.
so simple. What a dick. And honestly, this is, and I was saying to you before we started recording, it's my favourite thing as I look around the people I know and the people I deal with and, sort of the broader orbit. I know a lot of really good people and a lot of really incredible people. And I've worked very hard on
cultivating a circle.
and only giving my time to people where I go, what a legend. And you can spot the red flags of the fuckwit.
Oh, yeah.
And the narcissistic fuckwit being the slightly harder one to catch, but they show themselves sooner or later. But there's a lot of really great people.
There is.
And this is the celebration of great people. And like, there's just no room for that style of person.
Yeah.
There's no room for them.
Yeah. And I feel like I've really cultivated my life, and if you're a shit cunt,
yeah, mate, you're out.
You got a negative attitude. Like, I don't want to deal with that.
No.
Like, I've got enough shit. Like, it's hard enough keeping myself alive. Okay,
Yes.
like, I don't want your fucking negative bullshit. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
If you're happy and you got, you're going to add to my happiness or my future, then come. Let's go on this journey together.
And I think that is the best thing is when you get a pile of good people that are happy to do the right thing, and that they're going to reciprocate and do the right thing as well, because that's just what we do as a default setting.
Yep.
You're like, wow, how good's this? Like, what a bunch of legends. And you go, it's actually amazing what you can facilitate
100%
when you've got a bunch of legends. Like, actually amazing.
Yeah.
That is my whole, honestly, and I've made that as a very firm decision going forward, that
cut the shit,
mate,
and just
absolutely
get the good
like
stuff.
If you show your sign, if you're mate, just game over.
Yep.
Like,
There's the door.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Don't want your money. Don't want your time. See you later.
Yep.
Don't care, because they're just not worth it.
No.
They're just not worth it. And
It's
there's no hope. There's no silver lining. There's no way through. Like, just walk away and let them go.
Let bygones be bygones. The trash takes itself out, as I like to say.
The trash takes itself out. God damn, that needs to be a bumper sticker.
It does. Can you make one, please?
I can actually.
Okay,
I'm sure
excellent.
we can.
Thank you.
I'm sure we can deal with that.
Yep. Dave Reed.
Dave, yeah, he's
Come
all
on.
over it, mate. He'll hook a brother and
The
up.
trash takes itself out.
The trash takes itself out. There you go. So another shit job, but then into Bob Jane, and then that sort of steps you into tyre world. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so to be honest, I didn't know a whole lot about tyres. I knew tyres and how to check a tyre size. Like,
they're round.
Most people know.
Broadly.
Yeah, well, I say most, but it's not the case, to be honest.
It's really not.
It's
People
not.
don't, because you only look at it once every couple of years.
Yeah.
So we were just chatting with Simon in the other room. We're like, what size tyres? He's like, I don't know.
Google. And it's like, it could be one of these three sizes.
Yeah, one of these. I'm led to believe that they'll probably have this. And it's like, take a photo, mate.
And then take a photo of the other thing.
Yeah, just a quadruple check and then take a photo of the label.
Yeah.
So, look, broadly speaking, people don't understand tyres. And even I find, like, car people quite often don't necessarily understand.
No, yeah.
Because there's levels of knowledge.
Yeah.
There's broad awareness, but then there's really getting to know it. And I'm confident that this would have opened your eyes up.
It did. Like, I went in there with an open attitude because I was like, tyres are cool. I like tyres. I don't know much about them. I'd never really put a lot of thought into them. Like, a lot of people don't really. They just go, oh, yep, whatever. But I went in and I met a lot of amazing individuals that really took me under their wing. So there was Brent, who was working at Bob Jane Carina, which was a corporate store. Brucey, Bob Jane Strathpine. Like, they really spent the time with me, educated me and told me, differences, and the sales reps actually as well. They'd come in, they'd teach you about new tyres or just educate you on the products. And, I was really just a sponge, just soaking it all up and going, yep, I want to know more. And, dealing with the general public, it can be really good and it can be really shit, as any job dealing with the general public can be. But I met like a lot of amazing individuals and just, again, trying not to be a shit cunt and just, people come in and they'd be like, oh, the car dealership said I need new tyres. And I'm like, you've got like another 5,000 left. The only reason they would have said replace them now is because they're not going to see you for 10. So I said, you come back and see me in like 3 months and we'll put a new set of tyres in your car. And they'd be like, oh, thank you, just basic.
Yeah, people are shocked at your honesty.
Yeah, and they'll be like, oh, okay, I'll definitely come back. But because I was a relief manager, I'd be at that store and then I'd be somewhere else and then I'd be like all over the place. So I wasn't sort of situated in one store. I went all over Queensland and even up to Darwin as well for a couple of times. Yeah.
That would have been a crazy experience though, getting to see across like their whole network.
Yeah, it was
in this area.
It was really eye-opening. So even though they're the same like store. Each shop is run differently. So, you know, you'd have to sort of go in there and be like, okay, how do you do things? You know, what sort of margins do you work on? And I'd literally have a notebook and I'd be like, okay, this store does this, and sort of have it in the back of the memory. Other stores would be like, no, we do it like this, or, you know, it's the same but different, you know, and dealing with managers and egos and all that sort of stuff, just trying to like slip in and just do the best job, so then they're not going to call your manager and be like, I don't want her back in my store. So I don't think I had that. I had one time, one store manager said, get the fuck out of my store. So I'm like, okay, bye, grab my shit. I'm like, bye, Felicia, I'm going back home. And that was, you know, it was quite a distance from where I used to live. So I think it was about a 2-hour drive. So I'm like, okay, bye. Half day for me. But besides that, a lot of like beautiful individuals and, you know, people that really took me under their wing and taught me a lot, because I didn't know much about tyres when I started. And
sounds like a real polar opposite to a lot of your other experiences, where people actually helped you. Like, I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to put in the work, I'm willing to do the work. Just show me.
Yeah, I mean, like that side was really good, but then there was also the side of, you know, you sort of get over traveling a lot.
Yes.
So I wanted to settle down to a store, but they wouldn't let me be a manager. So there wasn't a lot of progression. And unfortunately, sorry, Bob Jane, but I don't think they're really willing to let the females step up unless you're a franchise owner. But it was very hard. And my sister has the same experience. You know, she was pretty much doing a manager's job
but couldn't quite get that leg up.
Well, even assistant manager, they put it on Seek, and she's like, I'm pretty much doing the job.
You're like, I'm right here.
Yep.
But there's still the boomer thinking that how could a female possibly? How on earth? How could we do such things?
But then, like, you go to a store like like Bob Jane Capalaba, Lily. I love Lily, and you know, she's a very driven woman, and she runs that store. But she unfortunately still has to have males at her counter, because sometimes she'll still get the boomers that go, "Oh, I don't want to talk to you, love. You don't know anything about tyres." I was like, really? there's still that mentality out there.
Oh,
yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that can't get over themselves and their own biases.
Yeah.
Or, you know, maybe they're just so insecure that they can't handle that thought. It's fuck them.
Exactly. Like, you know.
Well, that's why I was so stoked to get you on here, because I'm like, you have pushed, because I know how difficult this world is just from my own experiences, let alone the additional complexities that you've had to face with people making assumptions.
Yes. And I mean, like, I don't like to play the female card, but it is fucking hard, and you have to have a tough skin to be in the automotive industry. Like, even service advisors still, you know, are dealing with that daily. And, you know, even there's more females in the tyre shops I've noticed recently, which is great, but they still have a lot of adversity, and they have to overcome a lot of, you know, prejudice towards them just because they're a female. But it's like, well, actually, they would know a lot more than you about tyres. But a lot of people just go, oh, you're a girl, what do you know about tyres, or whatever.
And they're the sorts of things that are just so frustrating. But you do see people out there in companies. I've been doing work with Komatsu, and I've been watching their apprenticeship program, and the number of women they have going into that, doing their trade-based courses, is astonishing. And you talk to the people going through, the guys and the girls, and like, they just love it.
Yeah.
And it's all the same. You do the job, be good at the job, be a good human, and you're there going, it's just that simple.
Yeah. I think like
change is coming, but it's
very slow.
It's slow.
I feel like it's going to be like a generation needs to die out, and then even then it's still going to have a bit of adversity. So it's going to be not in our lifetime, maybe, you know, a couple of lifetimes.
There's another 20 years.
Longer, I reckon.
Longer, you reckon?
Yeah.
Useless.
It is what it is.
But it is. But it's nice when you see it being done well, and you see people given that opportunity, because that is shitty that you're there doing the job, but you don't get the nod.
Yeah. I didn't kiss ass either. Like, I'll never kiss anyone's ass to get anywhere. Like, I'm all about hard work or networking, not kissing ass. Like, I'm not going to be like, let me be this. No, fuck that.
No. Exactly.
Work hard, and the right people will notice you.
Mate, the right people notice.
That's it.
Would you believe?
I know.
Because people who know.
Yeah.
And they can recognise talent. I'm like, yeah, it's shocking. which is pretty much why you're here today.
Yes.
People notice.
Yes.
They look and they go, what a weapon. So from Bob Jane, had you found, so you found another opportunity that...
Didn't really.
No, didn't really?
So I was working in Darwin at the time, and my now boss, who was my co-worker when I joined Yokohama, Paul, he worked beside me at the Bob Jane. So he was just a rep, but he was very friendly with the franchise owner at the time, and we were sort of all helping out. So he would hear how I was selling the Yokohama products, and he really liked, my go-getting attitude, and I'd go out and inspect the car, and I'd, talk to customers, but he also liked the way that I sold the products. And I came back to Brisbane, and, I came up to Darwin a couple of times, but yeah, he was literally working beside me on the counter, and we were, dealing with customers and whatever. And I think I was working in Maroochydore at the time, and he gave me a call, and I was like, oh, hey, Paul, how you going? He's like, yeah, good. He's like, if a job would come up with us, would you be interested? And this was about the time where I was looking to, something different. And I said, fuck yeah. Yeah, I'm keen. He's like, okay, well, send me your resume as soon as you can. I'll be like, yep, I'll send it tonight for you, blah, blah, blah. Like, literally had the most casual interview I've ever had. I thought it'd be, really, hardcore and, most casual interview. And I'm like, okay, when will I find out about the job? And Tats, the national sales manager, who flew up from Sydney, he's like, oh, well, the job's yours, when do you want to start? I'm like, oh, shit. I was like, oh, okay. So I gave my resignation to Bob Jane and said, look, I'm still going to be in the network. I'm like, I'm going to Yokohama. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. So I didn't really care. It's fine. Like, the relief manager is a role that is constantly, I don't think they actually have one anymore. They used to have one, but now it's just sort of gone, no more. But yeah, they knew that, relief manager is a very limited role. So they were like, yep, okay, so get someone else in. But so I still work with a lot of the stores I worked in. So I've been behind those counters, and I know what they go through. And
you understand the job.
I do. And I think they appreciate that, because there's a lot of sales reps that come in from other industries and they don't understand the dynamic. Like, if they're busy, doesn't matter that you may have driven 3 hours to get there. They're busy. Fuck off. Call them back and go, hey, you've got to understand the dynamic and really, understand that side of the counter. And a lot of sales reps that come into tyres don't understand that, So, yeah, I think it's appreciated.
Yeah, and I'm sure it is. And the fact that you speak with earned knowledge, and people would go, oh, yeah, she used to do this. And
Yeah.
it helps.
It does, yeah. So.
And how did you find the move into Yokohama? Because you've been there a while now, as I said, 6 going on 7 years. And it's a serious corporation, and they do some pretty interesting things as well. Yeah, I'm fascinated to know how that journey unfolded.
It was a little difficult at the start, getting your head around going from retail customer facing roles into a wholesale role, learning that, discount structures and rebates and all these different things. And it was a learning curve, to say the least. And I think Paul, my boss, he was a little worried at the start, but then I got the hang of it. I sort of went, oh, yep. And it all just sort of clicked. And I was like, yep, okay, I understand what I'm doing now. And just really got the hang of it. But it's been an interesting job, and it still is. I'm still in it now, 7 years later nearly. So, yeah, I wouldn't change anything. All the steps that I've sort of done has led up to this point. So, who knows what the next step will be. But, yeah, the Yokohama is actually quite small in comparison to Bridgestone and, Continental, Michelin. In Australia, we are quite small. But because I'm such an enthusiast, I'm trying to push those enthusiast brands like the Advan and the Geolander and trying to do more. But I kind of get told to stay in my lane, which is a bit frustrating.
And look, it's part of the adventure, isn't it? Because you've got what you were hired to do, and then there's also your own interest, and it's always a challenge balancing those two. But you helped me because I was looking for something. I've got my EL Falcon with a dirty old Barra in it, and I was having real problems with that car getting power to the ground. Because it was just a big number 11 machine, because the tyres that were on it were really not suitable for what it's dishing out. And I reached out to you and said, look, what do I do? And you put me on to, is it Advan AD09R?
There's no R on
No
these
R?
ones. No.
Oh,
So it
advent-
was the
just
old 808R.
808R, and then this is... see, I'm-
809.
look at me learning. 809.
Yes.
And, mate, yeah, big difference. Because I went from a car that would just, go-
Light up the street
yeah,
to
just
one
light
that
it-
now.
and truly not on purpose. You know, I'm grandpa's back driver. And when the back would go and let go, you're like, yikes. And you couldn't drive it in the wet and all this sort of stuff. And then you've gone, oh, okay, no, what you need is this, put these on the car. And then I've done some track work in them, which was awesome and
Yeah, that was good
hilarious.
fun.
Absolutely hilarious. But then even just driving the things day to day, I now don't break traction. It like when you are just tootling around. And then I took it out in the wet and I'm like, oh God, I got bloody semi-slicks on this thing. I'm like, oh God, it's going to be like I'm ice skating. And it wasn't. And I went, oh, that's weird. Tyre technology's come a way since I paid attention.
It
And
has.
yeah, and I'm driving a bloody semi-slick with a, 400 horsepower barra. And it is fine. I'm like, oh, it's weird.
Yeah. It's definitely, they have come a long way.
Haven't they?
Yeah.
Because I haven't paid attention for a long time. I really haven't, because most of the stuff I've driven, I've had off-roads, I've got my four-wheel drive, I've got all these sorts of things, and I'm a bit of a grandpa. I don't really try and go fast or be a hero. I had a little Alfa Romeo way back when, and part of the way that you could get more power out of a car with no horsepower was better suspension, better tyres. And I put a heap of time and effort into it back then, trying to understand different compounds and how they would change wear, grip, all the different things. But after that, I was like, just sort of checked out.
Yeah. You sort of like get obsessed about a topic and then just become like,
Yeah.
hyper fixated on it. And then you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, cool. And then you have that knowledge. But then if you're not updating it as technology and as products come and go, then it becomes obsolete.
Totally
unfortunately.
obsolete.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realise this sort of stuff existed.
Yeah.
And then again, speak to somebody like yourself, and you're there going, oh well, what you need, and and this you were sitting down with me and showing me all the information and how you've got all this stuff broken down, and like the depth of information around each topic. I'm like, bloody hell!
Oh, was that when I was showing you my mail merges?
Oh,
that I do?
absolutely. The sheer volume of information that you have and that you go through with people. And I watched you doing it there with Simon before, going, right, how do you drive? What do you do? Because he's got
Yeah.
his farm ute. And he's like, well, I want to do more kilometres, so what would I have? And then you can, through your knowledge and your understanding of the product and the needs of the customer and being an automotive enthusiast as well,
Yep.
you've sort of got that knowledge mix
Yes.
that allows you to understand.
I call it qualifying.
Qualifying, there you go.
And qualifying a customer for what is going to be the best application or solution to their application. So if they're like, I'm going to do this, and you go, okay, well, this is going to be best for you. Or, like people are like, oh, I don't really drive it a lot, but I want something a bit performance-y. Okay, well, you might want our entry-level products. So it's really qualifying them and going, what car is it? What are you doing? What do you want? Like, do you want long life? Do you want quietness? Do you want performance? Do you want grip? A lot of the Yokohama tyres are quiet, so that's a positive, but it's then going, okay, well, what else do you want besides that? So it's very, I know, I just have all that knowledge in my head all the time, so.
Just lives there. And that was the thing. I wasn't worried about road noise or anything else. I'm like, mate, I just want the bloody thing to stop breaking traction. And like, it's
Want
not
some grip.
Yeah, and that's the thing. These days, that's not a big, 400 horsepower used to be, might as well have been 1 million horsepower.
Yeah.
But now that's like entry level
It's like,
sort of
stock
stuff. That's
Audi RS.
Yeah, exactly.
RS3.
It's just potato power compared to 1,000 is sort of the new 400.
Yes, it is.
You sort of start getting impressive when you break 1,000.
Yep.
Whereas throw it back like Nitto back in 2012.
Yeah,
like
that
when
was
it
groundbreaking.
1,000 horsepower at the wheels. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
that was legit rocket ship. Whereas now people are like, meh.
Yeah.
It is astonishing how fast and how exponentially those things change.
Yeah.
But have you been able to, attend more events? You get into, World Time Attack and those sorts of things. There's stuff that Yokohama involves itself with. That have you been able to do more of the enthusiast sort of stuff as well as part of the role, or does it end up all just being work?
Time Attack, I think the first year I went down and I worked, or maybe it's the second year I've lost track, but I've gone down and worked it, but I feel like the marketing lady got really angry at me because every time I'd like hear a rotary, I'd just fuck off. And I'd be like, go like, find it and like looking around. And then I come back and I'm like, I'm sorry. And they're like really busy. And I'm like, you know, just trying to sell merchandise or whatever, you know, at the Yokohama store. Obviously major sponsor.
Like, stop enjoying yourself. Get back and do your job.
Get back behind the counter. Take some money.
Whereas you're like, you're like Mad Mike Quad Rotor over there. Literally. I'll be back. And you're like, got
Bye, Felicia.
You got the back in 5 sign.
Yep.
You go, where's Anika? Like, look for the rotaries. I'm like,
she's over there. And I was just constantly like running
So they've
off.
realised that you're the wrong person to send to those events.
Yeah, because I enjoy them a bit too much and I sort of want to go out and experience them.
Yeah, and see all your friends. That's the other problem with those events.
I know everyone.
Is you go, because I actually went to World Time Attack this year just for fun and just to hang out, whereas I've only ever done it as media.
Yeah.
So I've always worked and I'd never gone to an event and like just hung out.
Just gone in the grandstands, just sat there going, this is fucking awesome.
Go to the grandstand, go to the bar, go to the garages, go to where all my friends are working in the stands.
Yep, and go, ha, sucker.
And you're like, ha, sucker, you can't leave this 5 square meters. And you're just like rolling around. I had the best weekend ever.
Yeah.
Like, I'd never not worked at those things.
Yeah.
Like, these are really good when you're not working. They're actually, like, really fun.
Yeah. And a lot of, like, my friends obviously go down in, like, big groups. Like, a lot of them are road trip and then stay in, like, you know, Airbnb, you know, houses all together or really close. And just, it's, like, just an amazing event for car enthusiasts to just enjoy themselves. And there's always something going on.
Full-blown shenanigans. And we had the Kia Carnival because, we had 6 people and we were all staying at the same hotel. And then we had the party bus and... piles of KFC and JDs and sneaking the car in and trying to get wristbands and passes and things so that we could sneak the car in to go and watch the drifting at night. That was surprisingly difficult, actually.
If I was there, I would have given them to you. I wasn't there.
Oh, mate, I literally had friends from... I got a wristband from one person and then I got a car pass from another person and then I got a lanyard from another person because we tried to like sweet talk our way in and they're absolutely not. I'm like, okay. And we tried that 2 or 3 times and I went, right. I said, I'll figure this out.
You should have pretended that you were working.
Yeah, I should have, but I didn't have any of the creds. And they were actually checking. You know, credit to them on your burger, but mate, can you get me a VIP pass next time? But yeah, we like full hustled it, not dissimilar to you and your and the machine. Fully hustled it. 3 different people helped me put a complete set together, and mate, I got that bloody Kia Carnival up on the hill so we could watch the drifting at night.
KFC with your JDs.
Mate, we had KFC, JDs, like the full bucket and the things in the back, and then just sitting there because it was actually quite cool. So we ended up 6 of us in the Kia Carnival in there, just watching the drifting, and you're like, best ever.
Yeah. And was it at night time as well?
Yeah. So we're drifting into the night. Yeah, so it's under lights and just people all up on the hill. It's just wicked.
Nice and cool, and it's just
wicked.
Loving life.
So much
Living
fun.
the dream.
Living the dream. Yeah. And spotted Scotty Mitchell down on the fence. He was actually working.
Sucker.
Yeah, sucker. And but it's so nice. And you see all your friends and all the good people you know, because there's some just legends in our Aussie car scene.
There is.
Just legends. And your Rotary Revival and those sorts of things that you go to, because you're involved with Sevens Day, is it? And you do things? Or tell me about some of that.
I think we actually did the first one in 2020.
Whoa, okay.
So when COVID
good
was...
year for it?
Yeah, I know.
Great year to get people together.
Yeah, let's spread a virus that we know nothing about. But I think it was 2020, I believe it was, and we did it at Jindalee DFO. I didn't ask for permission. I begged for forgiveness. So I just sort of said, look, we're all going to meet here at this time, blah, blah, blah. And we went like underneath, and there's like literally apartments like right behind there. So you can just imagine it sounded like a beehive, just, bop, 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 and like everyone. And
police?
I was like, no police, no.
Really?
Yeah, it was good. Like everyone was, the thing I love about this community is even though we have noisy cars and they can be obnoxious, is everyone's really respectful. And I sort of just did it as a thing. Like, I'm like, well, I love seeing the cars together and I love rotaries, so let's just do a little meet. And it was a thing in New York. And that's where I originally saw it. And I'm like, why don't we do something here?
And this is Sevens Day.
Sevens
if you
Day.
want to explain this to people that are outside the inner circle, what is Sevens Day?
So on the 7th day of the 7th month, so the 7th of July, all the RX-7s get together and we meet and we just have like a bit of a, a meet. We sort of meet at one place, then we go for a cruise, then we go to, another place and meet up. So it's just like a reason to catch up, and it should happen more regularly. But I mean, the amount of cars that we get out to Sevens Day or Sevens Night is just incredible. Like, and the crowds that it draws as well is just, it's just ridiculous. Like, it's really, really good.
Because where did you do the next one, or the next ones, plural?
I'm trying to remember what I did for 2021. I can't remember where I did 2021. Someone will probably be able to.
Can't even clock it.
No. Like, as I said, I have the
brain-
worst memory.
Brain fritz. Just got to write it all
Yeah,
down.
I can't remember where 2021 was.
What about the most recent one?
Well, the one before the most recent one, I did it in 2022. I did it at Grand Prix Aspley, or it's Mazda Aspley now. So I went to the dealership and said, hey, I work for Yokohama, but that's not why I'm here. I said, I run this event. I'd love to use your dealership and get like a fuckload of rotaries here after hours. And they were like, yep, we're down. Cool. So I was like, sweet. I turned up there as soon as I could because I worked that day. And then by the time I turned up, there was already like, 10 cars there nearly. And I was like, shit. So I've like, put my car in and then just sort of directed traffic. And we filled the entire service department and the outside car park. And the amount of people that came along was just crazy. It was really, really good.
That's awesome. And this is the missed opportunity I see is people go collections of car people bad. And you're like, nah, mate, this is actually your audience.
Yes.
And the enthusiast end of this audience, they're the very best part because they're the people that love it and advocate and spend money. All the good things.
Yes. Yeah.
You go, this is the best part of it.
Oh, I do remember 2021. Now, it was very sort of put together last minute because I was like, oh, what do I do? I think we met at Yatla BP and it was pretty shitty lighting. There wasn't a lot of car parks. And then we went from there to like, there's a Woolworths just down the road here.
Yeah, another one. Yeah,
The upstairs car park. Yeah, Annalee car park. And then we all went there. And I think more people turned up there because there was more parks. So we're at the top there and all these people were like, what's going on? Like all these rotaries on the roof. And so that was good. It just not enough lighting and stuff. And I was like, I wanted to, step it up and get, next level. So that's why I went to Aspley that next year. And then this year just gone, I was like, I'd love to do Aspley again. And I'm sorry, Mazda Aspley, if you guys are listening, because you were awesome, but we just ran out of room and we just needed more space. So I knew that Browns Plains Mazda had a bigger car park. And I was like, oh, you can fit like all the car parks and then down the service, like the actual lane, there's 2 lanes. So then you can park cars in front of the other cars that were parked. So we went there, and this year I was like, well, it's around dinner time because we do it at 7 p.m. just to, keep all the sevens together.
All the sevens, yes.
7th of the 7th at 7 p.m. It's just very easy.
Rolls off the tongue.
It does. So I was like, it's around dinner time. And I was like, well, there's nothing close there. And last year they had the cafe at Aspley, which was really good. So people got food and coffee. So I was like, well, I need food trucks. So I contacted food trucks and they're like, oh, how much? And I'm like, no charge. Like, we just want you to be there. So we've got a pizza guy, Sopranos, I think. And he's a Rotary guy too. So he was loving life. Yeah, he was just like, he had another event he actually cancelled to come to it because he was like, oh, no, I'm going to be there. And he was just sitting there like frothing and he was so cool. So he came along, and then we also had... it was a taco place. I've forgotten SoCal Tacos.
Oh, nice. They come to the Bolo down here as well as
really good,
Yeah,
really good food. Yeah. So we had them come as well. So that was really good. And then we also had like one of my friends. He has like a Japanese snack business, so he had Japanese snacks and drinks. And then also had 7 Threads, so another RX-7 girl who has 7 merchandise and T-shirts and stuff. So, and then Dave Reed came along taking videos and photos. And
the legend.
Danny Irvine, which you need to get on this podcast as well, who's an absolute Mazda-obsessed person.
Now, hang on. That name just twigged a bit. So is that the collection that the team were talking about? So Sharpie and James Dean
I'll hook you up.
have just done a feature
Yep.
on his insane collection on Talk Cafe.
Yes, that is the same.
Shout
very
to more excellent humans doing excellent things.
Danny Irvine's worth his weight in gold, if not more. Absolutely love him. Such a good guy.
Big shout out.
Yeah, get him on next or like soon.
Mate, you can hook that
Give you the
up for me.
contacts. He's always overseas. He's very busy, like everyone, but
That's all right.
he's worth the wait.
Worth the wait?
Yep.
It's all right.
Yep.
I have to routinely wait for people, and I'm very patient.
Yes.
Love that.
Yep.
Well, that sounds massive. How are you going to outdo yourself next year? Have you already started thinking about it?
Yes and no. I think it's on a weekend. So if it's on a weekend, then it's got to be bigger and better again.
Of course it does. Massive.
Yep. So I'll have to find a bigger location, get more things. If it's like a day, then, maybe do a lot more. It's just because, most of the time, Sevens Days fallen on a weekday, so people don't want to be out too long. So, yeah, I definitely have to find a good location because, car dealerships are open on weekends. Probably not that, but we'll find an oval or something and...
Find somewhere.
I'll have to start planning it because it'll take a little while.
Well, you will, and particularly now that you can't sort of just surprise because you know how many people are coming. You kind of got to get that permission and a few things lined up.
I think it'll be a lot bigger as well. If it's a weekend, a lot more people will plan it. And like I had people come up from Harvey Bay for the last one. Yeah. Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah,
So it's
hopefully.
really... So do you do this yourself or you got some people helping or...
Pretty much myself. I have a lot of people on the day will help out and just like sort of help
lend a
direct.
hand.
Yeah, lend a hand. But I sort of just plan it all myself and just go contact people and just go, hey, I just do it out of the love,
Wow. All right. Well, we talked about it before, but you've got a live podcast there if you want it.
Yes.
So we'll live stream from there if that's something you'd like to do.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think so too, because then again, get just cool rotary people to come on.
You just won't hear anything. It'll be
Talk about it's all right. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Mate, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
You need a van that's like soundproof.
Yeah.
There you go. Soundproof van and get it into the rape van.
Yeah, it sounds terrible, doesn't it? You need one of those, like one of the moving vehicles or something.
You wouldn't even need one that big.
The trailer, no, but then you could like build the studio, so you could have like the tables and the whole bit, and you just turn up
Like
in
a Hino truck.
Yeah, but it needs like the perspex sides.
Yes.
Have you seen when they put cars in them and they have them at displays and they've got the clear?
Yep. They just take out the panel and then put the clear.
Put the clear in.
You do that.
Oh mate, I need one of those.
Yep.
Oh, there's a dumb idea. Damn it.
Watch this space.
Because you get like a car trailer. Like if
Yeah.
you've got a car trailer that sort of size, and then
Go smaller and get like a little Hino truck and then just fit that out or...
chuck it on the back. Plans.
Yep. Sorry, I'm putting more ideas into your head.
God, the last thing I need is more dumb ideas. I've got a never-ending supply of those. If people want to get onto Sevens Day or be ready for it, do you have a page? Is there a group? Or is it just a full-blown secret society? How do you find out?
It is pretty secret.
Yeah.
I should start a page, but I don't really put a lot of time into Facebook, like, running like a business page because, I don't make any money. I just create an event called Sevens with the number 7 and then apostrophe S or just 7S day. In future, I might actually create a page just so people can keep updated, but I sort of create it and then tell my Rotary friends, share it, so then it reaches more and more people that way. So
Just needs an Instagram probably.
yeah, that'll probably actually work.
What's the one? A buddy of mine did that recently for his little meets for Geo Tokyo, and he set up one of those broadcast channels on the Instagram account
Yeah.
and then used that. And then he's
That's
like,
a good
oh,
idea.
God, there's a lot of people in here now.
Yeah.
He went, how'd that happen? Because he just runs, really low-key, cool meets.
Yeah.
That for, whatever shitbox you drive, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as you love it and you're passionate about it. And I was like, that worked really well. Like,
I think Instagram picks up,
Instagram,
you know.
little channel, because people also can't write back on the channel, so you can just put the information there. And then
That's a good idea. I'll have to do that.
mate,
Yeah.
it's free advice there.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's just like, I don't know, it's cool. And in particular, the things that you put time and effort into that are passion projects that you don't do for money, that you just do it because it's awesome and you think that the world needs this.
Yeah.
They're the best projects.
They are. And just the reward, everyone's really appreciative, of me just doing it. And I'm just like, look, I just want an excuse to hang out with people, But like when I'm at the event, I don't really get to see anyone, or people are like, hey, Anika, and I'm like, oh, sorry, I got to go fix this.
Running around.
Just running around, which is fine. But like everyone that goes to the event loves it. And, they look forward to it each year. And so do I, I really
I'll bet.
just do it out of the love of my heart.
And One of the final things I also wanted to talk to you about was the RX-7 that you have currently.
Yes.
I would love to go into excessive detail about that vehicle because I understand that's a reasonably special vehicle as well.
It is. So to go all the way back to when I was a child.
Yes, please.
I was in Bundaberg outside of, I think it was Sugarland Shopping Town, and there's like a little side street and there was a kebab shop. And out the front of that kebab shop was this Spirit R Type A RX-7 in gunmetal grey with the red Recaro seats. And it was like the kebab shop was opposite the car, and then there was like a Subway like right next to it. And I said to Mum, I'm going to own one of those cars one day. I'm like, that's my dream car. Like, I want that car. And she's like, yeah, right, honey. You know, this is like a young kid would be like, yeah, like I want that car. I didn't really realise that it was that car. And then I was like, okay, whatever. And then I ended up getting the red one first. And, you know, sort of as soon as I sold that one, I pretty much said to Andrew, oh, can I give you your money back? Because I want it back. And he's like, no. And I'm like, damn it. I was like, that's fine. I'll get another one. So I searched for about 2 years for the right FD. So I wanted a very clean example. I didn't want like any holes in the dash or any cracks. And I just wanted a really pristine example. And that was about 6-ish years ago as well. And I searched for a while, and Jonathan Foster is a rotary guy as well. And he would import one RX-7 at a time, and sort of he does them up. And he goes, oh, yeah, I'm going to keep this one. And then he goes, no, I'm going to sell it. So then I said to him a while ago, I said, look, if you get another one, like especially if it's a Spirit R or an RZ, so an RZ's just like a rare edition of the Spirit R, but it's not placarded. So it's more like you need, you know, if you know sort of thing. I said, if you get one, let me know. And he didn't. And I was just scrolling car sales and I saw it, and I saw it was Jonathan. I sent him a text and I said, Jonathan, I told you. You get a car, let me know. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm like, well, can I come look at it? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And went and looked at it. I was like, oh, I'm in love. I said, yep, okay. I'll put a deposit on it. At the time I was living in an apartment, so I didn't have the space for it. I said, look, can you hold it for like 2 months for me until I move into a place that has a shed, because I don't want to, I couldn't park it anywhere. Like I had one car space and a motorbike space. So I had a motorbike at the time. So I was like, I can't get any more car spaces at this apartment. He's like, yeah, that's fine, blah, blah, blah. So the legend, held it for me like 2 months, moved into an apartment that it was more like a townhouse, had a double garage. And I was like, yep, picked it up. Oh, I was just happy as a pig in mud. I was like, this car is beautiful. So it's...
And paint a picture. So colour, interior, fit out. For people listening, paint a picture of this beautiful car.
I wanted the gunmetal originally, but then the more I researched into it, I realised that, you know, if it's pristine, you know, unpainted, that the, you know, front quarter panel and the front bar and the bonnet actually don't match with the gunmetal. So I was like, don't think I could do that. So then I started looking at, you know, other colours, and the RZ actually comes in a pearl white, and it's exclusive to the RZs. So that's the one that I ended up with. So she's pearl white. It's got the little RZ logo on the little rear quarter. It's got 2 Recaro carbon back or carbon Kevlar seats. It's only a 2-seater. It's got little buckets behind you, so it's full of like jumpers and water bottles and little rotary plushies, you know, all the important things that you have a toolkit because you need it with rotaries.
Spare oil.
Spare oil, yeah, a little bit of castor oil, that sort of stuff. So that's how she was, and she had stock wheels, so she just looked, you know, pristine. And then when I got her, over the course of 6 years, put coilovers in her. I got some Advan RSD wheels, which were just all silver, which I hated. So I ended up putting them back on the box, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll just sell them. And I thought, no, I like white on white. So I went and got them painted the same pearl white in the centre as the car. Still had the polished lip. So put them on the car and put some very sticky Advan AO52s. If you know, you know.
Mate, they're proper.
They are. They're really fucking good. They just don't last very long, but that's fine.
No, that's because they're
Smiles
designed
per
for a
miles.
specific purpose.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, I know I'm in the right industry for it, so why not? But yeah, so put the nice wheels with the staggered set. So, you know, being part of that old school generation, I like the staggered look. So, you know, bigger dish on the rear, a little bit less on the front. So it just gives that aggressive, you know, fat ass sort of look. And And then I also wanted, like, some of the RX-7s come out with like a standard body kit, and you can't buy it. It's like this polyurethane, this like horrible plastic, like this little side skirt. I found out, I think it was Angry Panda in America made them. So I ordered it, got it sent over, got it fit at Shoreline Bodyworks, but one side was like really bad. So they had to do custom fiberglass work to make it look less dodgy. And
Like every body kit.
yeah, one side was pretty good, but the other one had like a massive gap. So they had to do, a fair bit of fiberglass work, and then they put stainless steel washers. And so put it on, and I was like, yeah, this is it. Like, it looks stock OEM, but, it's a little bit nicer. And then I also end up finding a Reamia carbon fiber bonnet because I've got a V-mount intercooler kit, so that works really well and keeps the car nice and cool. So it's nice, but I need to take it off and get another clear coat done on it because it's starting to get a little yellow, as told by one of my girlfriends, Lisa. She's like, oh, you need another clear coat done. I'm like, okay, we'll do that when you've got time. It'll probably be never, but it's one of those things. I'm like, yes, we'll do it. So
the joys of maintaining pristine modified cars. And
Yes.
the RZ, what was the edition? Because I don't know, not being as
so it's a Series 8 RX-7. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to say that. Series 8 RX-7, and it's one of 325 in the world. It was supposed to only be originally 125, but then Mazda's like, oh, we'll do a couple more. I think it ended up at about 325. I think mine, I can't remember. I do actually have the spreadsheet that Jonathan gave me, and it tells me what number exactly mine is. It's got like all of the VIN numbers and what number they were, and
that's awesome.
The specs.
I
and
love
what
that
colour.
stuff. I think
I know.
it's so cool. That's one of those rabbit holes as well.
Yeah, it is really cool, and it's my dream car. Like, I could never sell it. Like, I always joke, I'm like, that's going to be the car I get buried in. No casket, just the car, me in the ground.
That's it.
No one else can have it.
No one can have it. You'll ruin it and you won't take care of it.
Yes,
like, oh, well.
exactly.
Yeah. So don't touch it. Yeah, because it
Don't
is
touch.
beautiful. And in that white with the red seats, it's like just magic. And then you also, you get in and steer it too, because you came drifting with us. It was just kicking around the skid pan. And mate,
I tried.
That's
Not a
the thing.
drifter.
I'm not a drifter either, but I understand the basics of a bit of power oversteer and then try and turn into it and hold it and balance the throttle. And like, it's just a good day. When
Carnicross is probably a bit more fun and a bit more my sort of thing, or even the wet skid pan. But with the 52s, skid pans not so good because they don't let go. Even with the drifting, it was really hard because I don't have a lot of power. It's pretty stock, so it was just hard to sort of get it to go anywhere because it's sticky tires, not much power. It's going to go straight. It's not going to go left or right, but Carnicross days, like, I just
So what's
love them.
Carnicross? Is that just explain that one to me?
It's like I think Skid Control mainly do them,
Yeah,
but
okay.
it's more short circuits. Like, they do it at the back of Lakeside.
Oh, this is like the dirt track stuff.
No, it's on concrete.
No? Oh, it's on concrete.
So it's like the short track, and they've got cones set out, so you have to do a hard right turn and do a roundabout.
Oh,
and
okay,
sort of,
through a circuit.
Yeah, a circuit sort of thing, but it's very short and very technical. Like,
just
accelerate,
big
brake,
car
turn.
control.
Yeah, a lot of car control, which I really enjoy, especially with the sticky tires. It's fun, point and go, and a little bit of oversteer, which is always good.
Yeah, a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Now, you touched on something in that story that's also probably worth. Mate, you went and got a motorbike license and a bike.
Yeah. Had that for a while.
Yeah, just for extra stupidity.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because how good's a bike?
Yeah.
I mean, super dangerous. Really, like.
Don't get a bike. No.
Don't get a bike, but get a bike.
Yeah. Don't get a bike, but please get a bike.
Because you don't understand. I was always one of those people that was like, I just drive cars.
Yep.
I like having a whole car around me. I get it. I'm sure bikes are great. Whatever. I don't care. And Simon, who you met before, he was the cheeky bugger that got into bikes first.
Is that your suit or his?
That's my suit.
Oh, that's your suit.
Yeah, so you can see which way that story went. She's pointing specifically at my Alpine Stars one-piece leathers.
Very nice, by the way.
For track days on said bike. Simon stitched me up and got me like a Q-Ride thing, and he paid for it. And I'm like, damn it! Now, like on obligation, I have to get it. And I really didn't enjoy it at all, actually, and my muscles really hurt, like the clutching and all the things, and like my wrists hurt, and my arms hurt, and just back
Makes
hurt.
you feel really old.
Everything hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm there going, how does anybody enjoy this? This is so dumb. And then it all clicks, and then you get on something with a 1000cc once you know how to go, and then you find the throttle and it feels like you're pushing fast forward, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
And then you learn to start tipping, and you learn to counter steer into that, and you learn how to, and you're like, oh, damn it. This is so good.
And it's just so different to a car.
It's so different.
But it's so amazing. Like, you know, it sounds weird, but you can smell a lot more. Like you're riding along and you're like, what the hell's that? Or going through cold and hot patches when
Mate,
the
temperature changes when you go over Nebo, and you feel
Yeah.
and you feel the temperature shift, and
you go,
you can
that's a cold patch.
Yes. Yeah. And it's such a connected experience.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you love all things automotive, it is that, because you got both hands, you got your feet, you're shifting your weight, you're trail braking, you're doing all these things, and it's such an interconnected experience. And I do think that the danger is part of it, that you are forced to take great care.
Yes.
Because the risk profile is fairly severe.
Yeah. My mum and dad always said, drive like everyone, or drive or ride like everyone out there is there to kill you, which is, it's not wrong. Even in a car, like, mate, the amount of near misses I've had just being on the road constantly. And then, you know, you get on a bike, and that's when I usually ride, it's either like, you know, very early in the morning where there's less traffic, or late at night when there's less traffic again, because people are just, they don't shoulder check, and they don't indicate, and they just. But I must say, it has made me a significantly better driver. Yes.
And I am far more observant.
Oh, 100%.
Because you are always looking for that person that's going to kill you when you're on the bike. And so you start watching the front wheels, and you watch, and it indicates whether or not the
people
car's
inside,
gonna
what
move.
they're doing. And
you watch the heads, you watch the cars, you think a lot more about your placement and blind spots and where you are in relation to other vehicles. I've found that those are things that I never thought about before. Never thought about. And then, next minute,
Yeah. I think I've always been very aware of my surroundings, even when I learnt to drive. Like, you know, the driving instructor would be like, you know, always sort of check your mirrors and know what's around you at all times. So, like, if I'm driving in a car, you could be like, what's around you? I could be like, oh, yep, there's a car behind me, there's one in my blind spot. You know, and you know, there's like a line of cars in front of you or whatever. Like, I'm constantly doing that. But I think just being a sales rep on the road, I just do that naturally now. So, you know, it's exhausting, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
Also makes you safe. You still got a bike? You got one now?
I do. I've got a ZX6R that my fiance bought for me because I bought a cheap one, a little green one, which was like, I don't know, like $2,000, but needed to be done up, and it's still leaking coolant. So if anyone wants a cheap bike that they want to fix up a little bit,
turn it into a track bike.
Yeah, it'd be a perfect track bike. Yeah, it's registered at the moment. Probably going to take the reg off, but yeah, the ZX6R, it's absolutely beautiful, but it's very aggressive because like my first bike was a 650 Ninja, which is very upright. So I don't know. I'm just sort of getting used to the super sport, but it's very aggressive and like, you know, very, very different to that bike. And I hadn't ridden for quite some time, and sort of got my fiance into it because like a girlfriend of mine was riding, and I'm like, well, you should get your learners. So we did, and it was funny because like I always be following him, and you talk to each other, and you helmet your indicator's still on. He's like, fuck. I'm like, that's constantly
that old
just
chestnut.
The indicator is like, it doesn't self-cancel. I'm like, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It's you, and you got to push the button. So yeah, but haven't been for a ride for a while, but it's been raining a lot. But yeah, keen to get back out again.
And motorbike, I must here in South East Queensland, I certainly prefer doing it through the cooler months.
Yes, me too.
Because when you're in all your safety gear, it's not a good time in the middle of summer.
I never squid. Like if my dad would kill me if I went on a bike in shorts, and I see so many people squidding, and I'm like, ugh. Like, yeah, you're cool, but you come off, you're going to be fucking smushed on the road.
You're going to have the worst day ever. Like
worst life, because it's not just then, it's, you know, your future, you know, you've got skin grafts or whatever. Like,
is it the ATCAT, all the gear, all the time?
Yes, yeah, I'm the same. I'm like, I don't care if I look like a loser. I'd rather be a loser with all my skin than someone that's skinned.
Yeah, no, you don't muck around with that sort of stuff.
No.
Anika, I have had your gas bag in here for a while. We've done a 2-part episode in this
We have.
due to our rain interruption. It's like a sporting event, isn't it?
It is.
As I'm starting to wind this up, anything you feel like we've missed, or you?
There is something I just want to mention. Like I'm wanting to do.
Far away.
I haven't planned anything yet, so it's
There
kind of
we
like
go.
Sevens Day. But I'm wanting to do like a diabetes fundraiser for the foundation that supported me for a year while the CGMs were really expensive. So watch this space.
Hell yeah.
So I want to get a lot of people involved, have some merch sold, and just do like pretty much a big car event somewhere. And all funds raised are literally just going to go to the Danny Foundation to support their work. My goal is I think 8,600 because that's the cost of an insulin pump. That's a cheap insulin pump, might I add. Mine's about 13, but 8,600 will get someone that's disadvantaged that can't afford health insurance to have an insulin pump. So that's going to be the goal, but we will do a car meet and hopefully raise lots of money. But yeah, I haven't planned it yet, but hopefully 2024 it will be doing
Very
something.
good. Well, you can count on my support, and
Thank
I'm
you.
confident in our
Combined
league of
circle.
exceptional humans.
Yes.
That there'll be a few people.
Yes, hopefully.
I-
Hopefully everyone's got deep pockets.
Mate,
and-
I guarantee it, because Dave came on here and he was speaking about one that he worked with, Lisa's Lunches, and I've already connected
Yeah.
him with somebody who's helping him with that now. It's funny what you do and what you can do when you put good people together,
Yep.
because you are not doing this alone, and
Yeah.
there are a lot of people that are very willing to help, and it's so much easier when it comes in via referral and you go,
Yes.
this person will do the right thing
Yeah.
and will not stuff you around.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping. Like, I've got a really good close circle, and you know, I sort of don't ask for much, but when I do, people are like, "Yes, I'll help you."
Should you? They're like, what do you need?
Yeah,
And it's amazing when you actually ask that question. And people
Yeah.
are like, yeah, no worries. Yeah, what do you want? What do you want? How can I help?
yeah, and it's great. You know, like I'm always I give without expectation. That's just the person I am, and just to have or be able to give back in a way, because they were like, "Oh, can you do a Bunnings sausage sizzle?" I'm like, "How much do you get from that?" And they're like, "Oh, maybe $1,000 if it's really good." And I'm like, "Mate, I want to blow that shit out of the water.
Yeah.
I want to give someone an insulin pump." I'm like, "How much is that?" And they're like, "Yep, 8,600. So that's going to be the goal." So
Yeah, boom, we're on.
Yep.
That's what we need to do. Good. All right. Well, you let
Yeah.
me know what you need, and
Yep.
we will help
Be
with
in
that
contact.
too. Well, on that note, I'm going to bring this to a natural conclusion. If people want to follow you around the internet, where's a good place for them to track you down?
if you want to see all the coffees I drink, which is pretty much what I post on my stories all the time on Instagram, octane_kitten. That's my personal one. And then I've got feisty_FD, which is my car one, but I'm pretty lazy with it. But yeah, Octane Kitten.
One of those will get you there.
Yeah.
So I'll chuck those in the show notes, and then obviously if you want to talk Yokohama, they can hit you up on that too. So
Yes, it's a bit difficult being in wholesale, but I will try and point you in the right direction.
absolutely, I'll tell you which wonderful tyre shop or dealer in which area
Yep.
will be able to help you.
Yeah, with what you need.
Absolutely. Anika, thank you for taking the time to come and talk to me today. I've had a number of people say to me, "You've got to get her on the show," and I'm like, "Well, I've finally got her on. We've done it. We've made it happen."
Yes.
And I am delighted that you've taken this time to come and share with me. I
Thank you. It's
really appreciate it.
It's been awesome, you know, telling a bit of my story, because people often just think, you know, things land in people's laps. But yeah, there's a lot of shit that people go through. Everyone just sees the bright, shiny cover, but they don't see the draft coffees behind that cover. So,
Can I get an amen?
amen.
And honestly, that's the thing that I know is anybody I know that has made something of themselves, they've eaten a fucking lot of shit for a long time. You don't accidentally become good at what you do. You don't
Yep.
accidentally end up in a position
100%.
like that. None of that is an accident. People work fucking hard for
Yeah.
a very long time with very little recognition.
Yeah.
And that's the joy of this exercise, is we can share just what goes in.
Yep. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Mate,
It's a
it
lot of
is
storm clouds.
Rarely sunshine and rainbows.
Yep.
It's,
That's it.
yeah, no, the percentages are not great, but good things come out of it.
That's it.
Very good
Work
things.
hard. Right people notice
Mate,
you.
crazy shit happens. All right. Well, Anika, thank you so much. And to everybody listening, thanks for hanging out with us. And I'll catch you next time on the All Read Everything podcast.